The law that you're citing.
I just told you the law.
What law?
If you come over the border illegally, that's a crime.
That's just you saying the same thing again. Cite the law.
That's like
You
citing
don't
the
know?
law for stealing.
You don't know
the law for stealing.
You don't know the law?
Not for that. No. I know,
but
it's
you're sure that you understand asylum, correct?
It's not asylum seeking.
What's
when
the
you break
process
the
of
law.
seeking asylum?
Well, you have to apply. You can't just walk over.
Apply? You don't have to apply to seek asylum.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't. That's citizenship, my friend.
My parents are from Europe. They didn't
Where were they?
asylum.
What country in Europe are your parents from?
My parents are from Rome.
Okay, so when did they come over here during? When did they come over here that they were asylum seekers from Rome?
In 65.
Okay, and they were fleeing what?
They weren't fleeing. I just told you they weren't.
Okay, then those aren't. Then they're not asylum seekers.
I just told you they weren't.
They're immigrants.
Seekers.
You just said they were asylum seekers. We're talking about asylum. Okay, what's the process?
You got to apply to come over here. We all know that you can't just.
You don't have to apply to come here. That's incorrect.
Yes, you do.
No, that is for citizenship.
You don't know the law.
No, you don't know the law. It's called an I-589. It's an application for asylum, and you fill that out when you are here. You don't fill it out and then wait. You fill it out when you're here.
So we're not talking about citizenship.
We're talking about asylum, you potato.
Well, you brought up citizenship, and I said...
No, I didn't. I said what your parents did was, when you're talking about the application, waiting and applying for citizenship when you're waiting outside of the country, that's different than an application for asylum.
Yes.
They're different processes. Okay, what's the process for seeking asylum?
I don't know.
Right? Basically, you just have to be in the United States and you have to be in danger. That's all you really have to do.
And break the law.
Yeah, sure. If you come across the border, not at a border crossing, if you sneak through the border, sure.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. These people are breaking the law.
Yeah, but I don't care about that because these are asylum seekers.
Why don't you care?
Because they're asylum seekers. These are people who are desperately fleeing bad places.
But
why don't you care? Why don't you care? Why is it so important for you that they go through a port of entry?
I'll tell you another reason. I have aunts and uncles that came from Cuba. They didn't seek asylum through a legal process.
We had so many people come from Cuba through the asylum process. What are you talking about? They literally showed up on the shores of Florida. There's no wall there. There was no port of entry. People fled Cuba on boats, on rafts, and showed up on the shores of Florida. What the fuck are you talking about?
It just seems a little unfair when people do it
How's
the right
that?
way.
How did your family come here from Cuba?
Through the process, the legal process.
What did they do? Tell me about it. What year was this? What did they do?
I have aunts and uncles that came here in the 50s.
In the 50s from Cuba, and were they seeking asylum?
I would assume that they don't live in Florida no more. But all I'm saying is that
that wasn't even close to an answer to what I said. Did your relatives that came from Cuba, were they coming here looking for citizenship, or were they looking for asylum?
Both.
Okay. Okay. So how did they get here?
I had a few family that actually came on a fucking raft. And
okay, so they didn't come through a port of entry then.
Hold on.
Wait, so they didn't come through a port of entry?
Hold on.
No, thank you. No, they didn't come. If they came on a raft, they didn't come through a port of entry, right?
And then
I'm asking a question.
And then I have other.
No, I don't care about the others. We're talking about these right now. The people that came here on a raft, they didn't come through a port of entry, correct?
Well, you got to remember the law. If you step on land and you're from Cuba, you're back in the 50s. You're automatic citizenship. You're automatic citizen.
No,
you got to remember the law.
No, what?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. Wait, what law is that?
You don't remember?
Well, I wasn't born in the 50s, but I'm asking you what law that was.
You clearly don't.
This is the first time anybody. I've never heard anybody claim this in my life, so I'm gonna need for you to give me a source.
Well,
This
well,
is
you
not.
don't remember
I'm,
Castro, and then
Castro wasn't in the.
They said
Wait, Castro. When do you think Castro was in charge?
Fidel Castro. Do you know who that is? Are
Yeah, I know
you
who Fidel
knowledgeable,
Castro is.
or okay? Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah, Fidel Castro was born in what year was he born? 26. Yeah. When was the Cuban Missile Crisis was in the 60s.
And who was the president in the 60s?
Castro.
No, of America.
Oh, depends which year.
During the Cuban Missile
Either way,
Crisis.
you're talking about the 50s.
No, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, who was the president?
That was the 60s. You said your family came in the 50s.
Well, I just said I had some people do.
But I'm talking about the ones that came in the 50s. No, don't change the subject.
It's
You
not
said you
ju-
had no
I'm answering
shush,
your question, dude.
shush. Your family came here in the 50s. You said the second they stepped on United States soil, they were citizens.
Yes.
Okay, what law are you what law allowed them to touch foot on American soil and become citizens? Because I've never heard this.
I think it was under the, not the, who was after Kennedy
Well, the 50s was pre-Kennedy.
or before Kennedy? I mean,
Let me pull up. What year did they come? I'll find out who the president was.
it was before Kennedy. I mean,
What, Eisenhower?
no.
Well, that's who was before Kennedy. Truman? That was before Eisenhower. Go ahead and look it up. Does anybody know Discord? Does anybody know what he's talking about here? I've never heard anybody claim this ever.
It was Nixon.
Wait, what?
I got it messed up. So Nixon said, if you come from Cuba and you step on soil, you're an American citizen.
Okay, but your family came in the 50s. Nixon was elected in 69.
I said some people came in
We're
the 50s.
talking about the ones in the 50s. The people that came in the 50s.
Well,
how did they get here?
I don't know.
How did they get here?
I told you I had some people do asylum seeking through a raft, and other people came on a plane.
Okay, so the ones that came on a raft, where did they wind up? Did they wind up in? Did the raft end up in Florida?
I would assume.
You don't know? You don't know where your family?
Well, I wouldn't say New York. I wouldn't say the raft drifted all the way to New York.
Well, clearly, but why don't you know your family's history?
Because they don't live in Florida anymore.
Okay.
Yes, they came from Florida.
So let's just go backwards here. So if they showed up in the 1950s and they were seeking asylum, I'm not sure what they were seeking asylum for. I'm not well versed in 1950s Cuban history. But you're saying, hold on. Wait till the end of the sentence before you go. So you said your family came here in the 50s. They came here legally. They came on a raft seeking asylum.
No, they weren't seeking asylum in the 50s.
So they just came here illegally in the 50s?
No, they came here on citizenship. They applied for citizenship.
Is that the name of their boat?
No, they came here on U.S. citizenship. They applied. They got it. During Nixon,
then why did they come over on a raft?
Because during the Nixon administration, they put
that was in the late 60s, early 70s. We're still talking about the 50s.
In the 50s, they applied to be citizens and they got it. They didn't come over here on a raft. I'm talking about when. So
Nixon they applied for citizenship later.
Are you ever going to let me finish, or just keep asking stupid
You
questions?
keep leaving the 1950s to different decades. I'm trying to keep you in one decade, if we could.
Yeah, and I've answered about 8 or 9 times. You keep asking.
Yeah, but because you keep talking about Nixon, and Nixon wasn't the president in the 50s. So I'm asking specifically of your relatives that came here in the 50s on a raft. You said
no, not in the 50s. No raft. There's no raft.
No raft in the 50s.
No.
Okay, your relatives that came here from Cuba in the 50s. How did they come here?
On applied citizenship.
On applied citizenship. Okay, great.
Yes.
Now, when did your relatives that came from Cuba on a raft come?
During the, I think it was Nixon administration. It's called the dry foot or wet foot law that they signed.
I think that was Clinton.
No, it was not Clinton.
Yeah, what Johnson signed, it was called the Cuban Adjustment Act. The dry foot or wet foot policy was a policy implemented
that's what
by.
I'm talking about.
Yeah, that was Clinton in '95. Bro, this is crazy how like ill-informed you are.
No, I'm talking about the wet foot or dry foot law.
That was Clinton, dude. That was in '95.
And they became U.S. citizens right
In
away.
'95. So they came here in the '60s and became citizens in '95.
No. what part are
How could they become citizens due to a policy enacted in 1995 previous to 1995? Just explain that to me.
First off, my aunt and my uncle are from Cuba. My aunt.
And by the way, the wet foot, dry foot, all that didn't even give people citizenship.
Yeah, it did.
It didn't. It just allowed them to stay here
and become citizens.
No, they could then apply for citizenship, but they did not automatically become citizens like you're saying. In fact, even with the Cuban Adjustment Act, which is the one you're talking about, which was signed by Lyndon B. Johnson, which makes sense. You think it was Kennedy. Like, that's fine. You got the president wrong. I didn't even know which president, so I didn't know either. But all this did is it allowed them to bypass standard immigration rules to quickly and easily become lawful permanent residents. It did not automatically grant them citizenship, like you said. It just gave them a quicker path to citizenship.
Well, I guess
so far everything you've said has been wrong.
No, it wasn't wrong.
No, it was wrong. First, you said they came in the 50s. Then you said, but the point is, when you said people came from Cuba, if they showed up on rafts from Cuba, they did not, and they were asylum seekers, like you said, they did not show up at a port of entry. There is no port of entry.
It doesn't matter about the dry foot law.
That was in 95, you potato. You can't keep using laws that were enacted in 95 for things that happened in the 60s.
Nothing happened in the 60s with my family.
Oh my God, you just said they did.
No,
nobody believes you, right?
They came here on citizenship.
What was the last name of your descendants that came from Cuba?
Excuse me?
What was the last name of the descendants that came from Cuba?
I'm not going to tell you that.
Oh, you're not going to tell me that.
No way.
Yeah, why not?
That's personal information.
No, because you're lying.
This is the internet, my guy.
What's the internet? How am I going to do anything with that information?
Well, I actually have to go to work now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's time to go to work now, guys. We're really interested in coming to work. Hey, Matt, if you're ever in Arizona, swing by. I'll help you with your golf swing. All right, brother?
Well, I was actually just in Sedona.
Oh, did you play at Oak Creek?
I did not.
Oh, you should have. It's beautiful.
But I would love to move to Sedona. I just don't like how all the Californians are moving over there.
Bro, shut up.
They're ruining
shows up to Sedona for a weekend, and he's suddenly an expert on Sedona. It's the Californians.
Well, why are there so many California plates?
Well, there are a lot of California plates, but Sedona is a pretty liberal area of Arizona. Because of like I'm not like super into like energies and crystals and things like that, but there's some sort of like vortex thing. It's a place like where a bunch of hippies, like it was basically settled by hippies. It's beautiful. It's such a cool place. It's got you felt it. You go into Sedona, there's a different vibe there. It's quiet. There's like a weird reverence to it. Sedona's dope. I like Sedona.
But last question.
Yes, sir.
Will it be Biden and Trump?
I sure as shit hope not. I would prefer two other people, but probably Biden and Trump.
And who's that, real quick?
Who's what?
Who do you prefer? Who?
Oh, Biden. But yeah, by miles.
No. You said if it's not Biden and Trump, you said.
Who would I want? So, none of the people running on the DNC ticket right now. If Biden were to drop out, I would imagine the Democrats would have to put somebody else up. At this point, this late, it would probably be Newsom. I would not be opposed to a Pete Buttigieg. I would not be opposed to a Bernie Sanders, to an Elizabeth Warren. A lot of people say Katie Porter, but I actually really want Katie Porter to be in the Senate. I think she's really effective there. So despite me loving Katie Porter, I'd rather see her in the Senate. AOC is AOC old enough? I don't know if AOC will be old enough.
And will Trump be on the ticket, you think?
Most likely, Republicans seem to have no spine at all. They will do anything and everything that he says, and they're running their own party into the ground. I really hope Donald Trump is on the ticket. That is a losing ticket.
Well, as you know, I'm a Republican. I absolutely despise Matt Gaetz.
No way.
Matt Gaetz is a complete moron.
Hey, we can agree on that.
He ruined the House. The Democrats are going to win the House no matter what.
Probably.
They'll probably win the Senate, but I think
cool.
Trump's going to win. That's that. I'll give you that. I'll give you the House and the Senate, but not the presidency.
Hey, if the Democrats have control of the House and the Senate, I'm not going to be that. I'm going to be a far less upset about Trump being president because he won't be able to do anything, which is terrific. I do wonder though, like Trump yesterday basically said, like, if he wins, he's just going to get payback on everybody. Do you think that's a good thing for Republicans, that Donald Trump's entire campaign strategy is just to get payback for everybody who investigated him? Do you think that's good for the country?
Yeah, I do.
Why?
Because it's a bunch of bullshit.
No, why is it good for the country?
Because the country's all fucked up and illegal.
The country is fucked up and illegal, says the guy voting for somebody who has 91 felony charges, is under 4 criminal indictments with probably 1 or 2 more to come, but everybody else is illegal. Got it.
Well, the 3-letter agencies are all illegal.
Sure.
They're doing illegal acts. They're putting Republicans on the terrorist watch list.
Have you ever, and I don't mean to say that, I don't mean to draw comparisons further than this. If you look at fascist takeovers in the history of this world, and specifically the one that is most alike to this attempted fascist takeover is the one that happened in Germany.
Absolutely not.
Let me just explain. Let me just explain what happened in Germany. You don't have to agree with me here.
But he's not a fascist.
Hold on. Well, I do think he's a fascist, and I can. Now, I know you had to get to work, but do you have a few more minutes?
I got till 1:30.
Till 1:30. Okay, great. So in Germany, what happened is you had a old leader, and he was running for president. He was jailed because he was a criminal. And then he ran on everybody's picking on me. He ran by smearing the press. He said the press was the enemy of the people. He specifically targeted LGBTQ at that time, like anybody who was LGBTQ. He specifically targeted those groups and said that those groups were ruining the morality of the country. He pointed specifically to Jewish people, and more specifically, Jewish people who were financially successful. He called them metropolitan Jews. He started banning books. He started trying to control the curriculum in school. He wanted to control the press. He wanted everybody that followed him to only believe him. Now, does that sound more like Joe Biden or Donald Trump? Neither. So Donald Trump has not advocated controlling the press, and he has not called the press the enemy of the people.
Actually, I'll say Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Yeah. The problem is, Matt, and I do think like you're likely a good person, and I do think you likely have good intentions, and I do think that based on your views and maybe the way that you were grown up, that you look at me and people like me as the enemy. What I'll tell you is
you're not the enemy.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good. Donald Trump would view me as the enemy for sure.
No, he would never.
No, he would. If Donald Trump and I spoke for more than 5 minutes and it was on camera, Donald Trump the next camera he got, he would use that camera to smear me in any way he possibly could, just for me asking him tough questions. But the question is, when you are told by your leader that you can't trust anybody but him, when you're told by the leader that the problems with this country are immigrants, are wealthy, specifically Jewish people, and the LGBTQ community, when you hear that, that should ring some alarm bells. And then if you're saying, like, is this fascist or not? Now you've got to ask, like, what are we proposing? What is Donald Trump proposing that would make me believe he's not fascist?
Well, I don't think Trump ever called out I I know he's called out the Soros, the Apple, the Microsoft, and so on. But I don't think he's ever said, "Hey, look at these rich Jews controlling the citizens."
True. Now, does he have to say it that way?
But I don't think his intentions are, "Hey, look at the Jews and they run the world." No.
Sure. Does he have to say it that way?
Like I said, I don't think he's calling out.
Don't you think he and others might be smart enough to know that if they just outright said that, everybody would freak out?
Well, we all know Trump's been in business with wealthy Jews his whole life.
That's not what I'm asking about. What about his specific attacks on the ADL?
Well, I don't think he's doing it because they're just Jewish. No, absolutely not.
No, I'm not saying that necessarily that's the problem. That necessarily he just doesn't like. I mean, here's my truthful opinion on Donald Trump is that Donald Trump hates everybody equally. He likes you if you like him. He doesn't like you if you don't like him. I don't really care what his intentions are. I don't really care what his internal feelings are. What he does is he creates groups. He creates people. He creates segments of society to blame all of our problems on. And that's what fascists do.
Well,
They pick groups of people to blame all the problems on. Now, you've done the same thing today. You've blamed our problems on immigrants. It's a very fascist move.
I blame the administration for not doing anything.
Okay, but doing anything about what?
About all the illegal immigrants.
Correct. And what's the problem with illegal immigrants? What problems are they causing?
Is that first off?
I'm just asking
real quick. Like I said, Mayor Adams said he can't afford it. They're breaking the law coming over
so
here.
we can't afford to just house people for no reason. Fair enough, or not for no reason, but we can't just afford to house people that come here. We don't necessarily have room. But again, like
we can't house our homeless vets. We can't house our homeless vets.
Well, those two things could go together. But again, why is nobody blaming the homeless vets?
For what?
Yeah, see, you have to pick a group to blame. This is what fascists do.
Blame them for what, though?
I don't think homeless vets have done anything wrong. I'm saying that what Donald Trump does is he picks groups of people to blame. These are called, and these are just dog whistles.
He's not blaming people that come over the border. He's blaming the administration for not doing anything.
No. He has specifically said derogatory things about the people.
Killers,
correct. And some of them, I assume, are good people, is how that ended. And some of them, I assume, not even some of them for sure, not an overwhelming majority, some of them, I assume, are good people, right?
Well, now, I don't remember his comment from 2016.
Now, there are people still in this country who would side with the ideology of 1930s Germany. Okay, there are still people in this country who.
Well, that's just absurd. I don't think.
I agree. And I'm not saying that.
I don't think.
Hold on. Hear me out. And I'm not saying that that's you. I'm not even saying that's Donald Trump. What I am telling you is that those people are Republicans, that they vote for Donald Trump, and that you guys rely on them in order to win elections. And that's the part that for you should be a wake-up call. When you see Donald Trump and other Republican leaders meeting with the most prominent white nationalists in this country, in Nick Fuentes, you should ask yourself, why is this person who celebrates Schmittler? Why is this person who is a self-avowed white nationalist? Why is this person who says things like Jews will not replace us? Why are the people in Charlottesville chanting Jews will not replace us wearing Trump gear? You should ask yourself, if this is not a fascist movement, why are all the fascists in your movement?
Well, can I ask you one quick question?
I would like you to respond to that first, and then sure.
I don't know why. I don't know, like, I'm not one of those people. I don't go running around saying a shirt that says.
I already said that. I don't think you are.
I hate Jews. I don't know.
Why do you think they're in your party?
I don't, because they're disgusting people.
But why are they not in my party?
In every party.
No, they're not in my party.
So AOC's not calling for the genocide of Jews?
No. But why are those people in your party?
I don't know. There's bad apples in everywhere.
The leader, Richard Spencer, the leader, formerly
Scomani. Johnson. Clark of Massachusetts. Jeffries. Clark of New York.
I'm really happy that you don't know who Nick Fuentes is. That gives me hope. Nick Fuentes is he got famous online. I don't know if he's on Rumble now. I don't even know where he is, but he's probably the biggest thought leader in the white nationalist party. He had a one-on-one meeting with Donald Trump and Kanye West. Donald Trump hosted him. Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh, is that when Kanye posted on Twitter? He's like, I'm going to Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, with Nick Fuentes.
Did that happen, or because I know Kanye didn't show up, or I don't know.
No, I'm pretty sure that meeting happened.
I have no clue who that is, though. But
I love that you don't know who that is. That's great. But Richard Spencer, who was the leader of the White Nationalist Party, I don't know if he still is. Richard Spencer, ardent Trump supporter, and he has said things like, he says Tucker Carlson in my house. Well, I think it was his son that said this. He said, in our house, we watch Tucker Carlson twice. We watch it live and then we record it because he delivers our message better than we can. The number one voice in conservative media delivers the white national fascist message better than they can. And the biggest celebrity, the biggest voice of white nationalists online is repeatedly meeting with Republicans. He just met with Republicans in Texas like a week ago.
And is this like an underground?
He had a 7-hour meeting with Republicans in Texas, the same people who funded the impeachment trial for Ken Paxton, the same people that overturned it. They met with Nick Fuentes for 7 hours. Why are Republicans meeting with fascist white nationalists if this isn't a fascist movement?
Is Nick Fuentes, does he run like a real organization, or is it like some underground kind of thing?
I forget what his organization is called. Let me look.
No, I mean the white nationalists, whatever it's called.
No, he has his
like
own
an
organization.
Underground thing, or like a
no,
club,
it's not underground. What is his group called? Does anybody know?
The Proud Boys, because all these people are saying Proud Boys, but
it's not the Proud Boys. I can't remember what his is called. But he was definitely there he was a prominent figure in the Stop the Steal movement.
okay. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, maybe he's with the America First Foundation. I'm not sure, but the question is, like, again, and this is the question you need to ask yourself, and it's hard. And this is like when I left the GOP, this was a hard question for me to answer. It was really, really difficult when Donald Trump showed up, and I started seeing the racists where I was like become openly racist, openly bigoted.
Well,
all of a sudden, the worst of the worst people had a voice. The worst people, the fascists, the white nationalists, the hate groups, they are in your party, and if they leave your party, you lose.
Well,
Your party is beholden to them. That's why Stephen Miller, a self-avowed white nationalist, worked in the White House. He was not Trump's right-hand man, but right there.
Well, I don't know why there are Nazis in the Republican Party. I don't know why there are racists. I don't know why there are Marxists in the Democratic Party. I don't know why there's...
Well, I can tell you why there's Marxists in the Democrat Party. There's Marxists in the Democrat Party because there's a bunch of Democrats who believe in Marxism.
Sure, but then
there's a bunch of Republicans that believe in fascism. And then I look at Donald, and then Donald Trump is running on it. He's literally running on fascism, and you guys don't know that. He's running on jailing his political opponents. He's running on shutting down the media. He's running on controlling the media. He's running on controlling elections. He's running on controlling trade. He's running on controlling social media. This man is running on fascism, and for some reason, his followers are so enamored with him and so obsessed with him that they don't care that the messaging they're hearing is very, very familiar to those of us who have studied any part of history.
And you wouldn't call AOC a anti-Semitic?
No.
Why not?
Why would I?
Do you not see what she's doing?
What is she doing?
She's calling for the mass genocide of Jews.
She's not.
She is.
She's not.
How so?
Where's the quote?
I'm not saying she said that deliberately, but she says Israel needs to be a two-state solution.
Correct.
Palestine has every right. There should be a ceasefire. Israel is...
Yes, Palestine should have the right to not be blasted by Israel. Correct. I agree with that. I agree with AOC on this.
You don't think Israel should blast Gaza off the face of the earth?
Absolutely not.
Even though they attacked them?
That was Hamas.
Even though Hamas runs Gaza?
You think like half the people in Palestine, half the Palestinians are under the age of 18.
No,
you think so? If you're saying we get rid of Palestine, I want you to just understand.
No, I'm not talking about Palestine. I'm talking about Gaza.
Gaza. Okay, we're talking about Gaza. If we're talking about
we're talking about the Palestinian people in Gaza.
Well, yeah, fine. So you think that those people should just be taken out?
No.
That's what you just said. You said it should be wiped off the face of the earth.
I think Hamas and Gaza should be wiped off. Their whole city.
That's what I just said. You know how many innocent lives that would take?
I wouldn't say. Well, tell me why Egypt won't take them in.
I don't know.
Because they don't want them.
Okay.
They're
so therefore we should wipe Gaza off the face of the planet?
Yeah, but I don't think we should kill civilians. Absolutely not.
Well, that's what you just advocated for.
No, I said we just destroy Gaza.
There's people there, and they can't go anywhere. They're stuck.
Well, they can't go anywhere because nobody wants them.
Okay, so then your solution is to wipe it off the planet. That's what you're saying. You're saying the same thing, dude.
But nobody wants them is the problem.
Let's see. The Gaza side of the Egyptian border was destroyed. Egypt was bringing them supplies. Okay, there you go. I was unaware of
but Egypt won't take them in, though.
Yeah, the Egyptian border was destroyed. Egypt was bringing them supplies. That's all I said.
No, I'm saying like 3 weeks ago when Israel dropped
either way,
off
your claim here was that AOC was anti-Semitic.
Yes, she is.
Why?
Because she supports Hamas. She supports the
what did she say that makes you think she supports Hamas?
She supports a ceasefire.
That's not absolutely absurd. Peace is not supporting somebody. I also support a ceasefire. Does that make me anti-Semitic?
So you don't think we should have gone into 9/11?
Gone into 9/11? What are you talking about?
Iraq after 9/11?
We didn't go to Iran.
You think that?
Yeah, I do not think that we should have gone to Iraq after 9/11. Correct. I do not think we should have done
Afghanistan, that. You don't think we should have gone to
war? We didn't go to Iran. We went to Iraq, and then we went to Afghanistan. And in both of those scenarios, my answer is no, we should not have been there.
Even though they killed 2,000 people. Okay,
correct.
Cool.
Correct.
So...
funded by the Saudis, by the way. Explain to me why we're in Iraq if we had terrorist attack on 9/11 that had nothing to do with Iraq.
Because we buy all the oil from Saudi. You can't be that stupid.
Okay, so the Saudis fund it. They're not Iraqis, but in response to terrorist actions against our country, we should go attack Iraq.
Well, we can't go to Iran.
What did Iraq have to do with it?
We can't go to war with the Saudis.
Okay, so since we can't go to war with the Saudis, we just pick Iraq.
Well,
like
George
close
Bush
enough. It's close enough.
George Bush had to blame someone, and he lied. We all know George Bush lied.
Then why? Yeah. So then we agree we shouldn't have been in Iraq, right?
Yes, because he lied about mass weapons of destruction.
Bro, this is crazy. You just switched your position. What the hell? What are you doing?
What do you mean?
You're like, so what? You don't think we should have been in Iraq? I was like, no, we shouldn't. And you're like, so we should have just done nothing? And I'm like, well, Iraq had nothing to do with this. And then here you come, you're like, yeah, because Bush lied. So what side are you on? Or do you think we should have been in Iraq?
Yeah, after 9/11, yes.
Why?
Because they took down the towers.
Who did? Iraq?
Well, they were funded by the Saudis.
Do you know why we invaded Iraq? Do you even know the justification for invading Iraq?
Well, first they bombed an embassy. They also bombed a
the reason we invaded Iraq, according to Bush, is because we had an agreement with Saddam Hussein that he would not obtain nuclear weapons, right? That he would not have long-range missiles, and the intelligence that they gave us said,
lied about
and I know, but that had nothing to do with 9/11, dude. I think what you're doing, and I think this kind of goes to show like how Republicans were then and how many of them still are now, is that you just think that the Middle East is one big place. Like, as long as there's Muslims, let's go there. Like if 9/11, so just go to any country where there's Muslims
and kill them.
That's what it sounds like you're saying, dude.
No,
it sounds like it, because Iraq had nothing to do with that.
So you don't think we should have been in Iraq?
No, I've already said that. No.
Even though Bush lied about mass weapons of destruction, he lied.
Yeah, that's why we shouldn't have been there. He was lying.
Yeah. Okay.
By the way, I also think there's a lot of nuance that needs to be said about Bush and why we got in there. I think sometimes to just straight up say that he lied, I feel like that's a little bit unfair. But the evidence that we would have needed to invade Iraq wasn't there. There was definitely no justification for.
And what
being
about
there.
9/11? What should we have done about 9/11?
What do you mean? What should we have done about 9/11?
You said we shouldn't have gone to war after 9/11. So
no, we should not have invaded Iraq after 9/11. We should not have invaded Afghanistan after 9/11. This is what a lot of times we don't understand. Every time we step foot into one of those countries, every time we destabilize, every time we try and go after a terrorist organization, it creates a vacuum, and a worse group emerges from that vacuum. Every time we insert ourselves, and every time we unalive innocent people, more and more people are radicalized. More and more people want this to stop, right? Every time we step into one of these countries, we make it worse.
Okay, so you're one of the few Americans that care about the carpet bombing of innocent civilians, which we can agree on.
Dude, I'm a lefty. You don't think lefties care about this?
Well, not many Americans even know that we carpet bombed 26 million civilians.
The left, I bet every single person in my Discord right now knows that that's true.
So what's the alternative after 9/11 then?
What do you mean, what's the alternative after 9/11?
We just sit back and say,
Iraq was not about 9/11. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you about this. Iraq was not about 9/11.
Well, I'm not talking about Iraq. I'm saying, what's the alternative?
You're talking about Afghanistan?
Yeah, if we don't go to war, then what?
What do you mean, then what?
You said we should have done
Then we don't go to war.
9/11.
Then we don't go to war.
So you don't want to go to war after 9/11?
No, I am anti-war.
You're absurd.
You started this conversation by saying that Trump was anti-war and wanted to pull us out of wars. You're now going to end this conversation by saying I'm absurd because I said I'm anti-war. Dude, you don't have any real beliefs.
That's absurd.
You just you don't have real beliefs, dude. You just like Trump. You like Trump, and I can't figure out. You're either a white nationalist or you're heavily influenced by them. The amount of dog whistles, the amount of misinformation, the amount of switches you've made today, it comes off like, for somebody who says they don't know who Nick Fuentes is, you sure like to hit a lot of his talking points.
So what should we have done after 9/11?
Not go to war. There were many other things we could have done.
And do what? Oh, let's rebuild the towers. It's okay, everyone.
Correct.
Only 2,000 people died.
Not only 2,000 people died, but yeah, we should rebuild the towers. Don't rebuild the towers. That's not what it's about. But starting a bunch of regime change wars in the Middle East was not the solution. Clearly was not the solution. Clearly was not the fucking solution. I was in high school when this happened. It was 2001. I was a sophomore, I think. Yeah, sophomore in high school in 2001 when this happened. Our country has been in the Middle East bombing since then. It's 2023, dude. It's 22 years now. We've been fighting this same fake war.
So if we get bombed again, you don't want to go to war?
No, I am always anti-war, especially when the people who attacked us were not a state. They were not a country. They were not a government.
Let's sit back and do nothing. Is your solution?
Yeah, dude. All right. Your solution is, if somebody bombs us, just close your eyes and point to a country in the Middle East and invade it. Doesn't matter if they were involved in it. We got to go there.
Bush did that.
Yeah, and you're advocating for the same thing, dude.
I will always advocate for war if America gets attacked, 100%.
Okay, so yeah, see, you and Bush are saying the same thing. That's what I
No.
just said. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, buddy. You better get to work.
All right, man. Well,
All right, work on that golf swing. Jesus Christ. Just opposition in the box, please. Oh, sorry, Parker. You had to leave at 10:30. Hey, Matt, go to Parker's live later. Parker, what time are you going live? Somebody let me know when Parker's going live. Sorry, Discord. I was watching that. Look, I mean, somebody can ask me questions. These conversations are going to be tough, and the one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to drop conversation because it's uncomfortable. So please, if this stuff, 12 Pacific Standard Time. Okay, Parker's going to go in 90. So Matt, if you're not at work, go see Parker. Or when you get off work, go see Parker. He's got some questions for you. He'll be watching for you. Got to be able to have these difficult conversations, guys. You can't walk away, especially young kids. Like I was a young dumb Republican once. I had a lot of bad views. I've said and done some pretty not done. I've said some pretty bad things when I was Republican. Stuff I didn't understand. There's got to be a little bit of there's got to be some discussion to be had. I really think if I'm being honest, I think Matt is just is woefully uninformed, and he gets bad information from bad people. So we can either fight that misinformation as best we can, or we can just let people continue to be propagandized by white nationalists. I'm going to say I'm going to go the other way. Let's see. Where are we at on the speaker vote? Hopefully you guys, again, opposition only in the box. I really don't want to be a dick today. I hate it. I'm not good at being a dick, so I'll try not to. Lumbardy.
Hello.
Hey, welcome.
I was on the other day, and they cut me off when I was speaking about that election fraud.
Sorry about that. Yeah, be careful with that.
I ain't gonna talk about it again because I'm not trying to get banned or nothing. But I was just
Have you ever thought to yourself why a platform like TikTok, who regularly, by the way, like my moderator, Whisper, he's been banned off like 3 accounts. He got banned in like 2 minutes yesterday without really saying much. Have you ever wondered why TikTok wouldn't want you to talk about claims that you can't prove when it comes to election fraud?
I was ran by liberals.
Or is there another possible explanation?
I mean, maybe they'll face some liberal consequences.
Are there any other possible explanations?
I mean, that's all I can think of.
Okay. Could you do you know about any of the violence that has been perpetrated across this country because people believed the election was stolen?
Black Lives Matter.
Shut up. Of course, I'm not talking about Black Lives Matter. You potato.
You said violence.
We can violence perpetrated based on the lie that the election was stolen. I was very specific.
I mean,
what is it? What is it with you guys? I swear to Christ, man. How come every time we bring up the violence on the right, you guys won't even talk about it? You just go, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Let's talk about Black Lives Matter. Can you show me pictures from Black Lives Matter of people showing up in Biden gear?
And what?
At Black Lives Matter rallies, did they leave directly from a Joe Biden campaign and go down to and loot buildings or burn down buildings, whatever you think they did? Did they do that after they left a Biden campaign? I'm not done. Did they do that when they left a Biden campaign event in a bunch of Biden gear with Biden flags saying, and then all say like, we're doing this for Joe Biden?
You said across.
No, I asked you a specific question and you're going to answer it. Did those people leave a Joe Biden rally, show up in Joe Biden gear with Joe Biden flags, and start looting and destroying businesses or whatever crimes you want to talk about that happened at BLM rallies? Was that the case with any of these rioters?
I mean, I didn't personally see it, but that don't mean it didn't
okay. So
happen.
you've never seen it. Now, on January 6th, were there people wearing MAGA gear, Trump flags? Did you ever see anybody with a Trump flag and using that Trump flag to hit police officers, to physically assault police officers with Trump flags? Did you see that?
They hit a police officer?
Tons of police officers. Do you not know this? What
But
do you
again-
think happened on January 6th?
Well, you said across the country. That was in one place.
I'm talking about January 6th now. First, I was talking about BLM. I said, is there any of those rallies that started?
And BLM was across the country.
Shush. I said, were there any of those rallies that started with a Joe Biden campaign event where he then told them to go someplace specific? They showed up in Joe Biden gear with Joe Biden flags and started breaking the laws. Did that ever happen?
As far as I know,
The answer is no, right?
no. As far as I know,
Okay, so do you see why this is different? Because on January 6th, first of all, they pumped this up. They pumped it up all week. Come to Washington. We're gonna have this massive rally. Come to Washington. We have to fight for our country. We have to take our country back. The incendiary speeches at the January 6th rallies, when Rudy Giuliani screamed into a microphone, "You have to fight like hell." When the rhetoric from avowed white nationalists saying like we have to go to the Capitol, we have to take our country back. When you look at the planning from the Proud Boys, when you look at the planning from the what was that one? The Nick Fuentes. We just covered that. What was his group called? The Stop the Steal movement. When you see the behind the scenes planning that they had, when you find out that they had stored weapons just outside of DC and Virginia in case they needed those weapons. You see all of this planning, and those people left the rally with their Trump gear on. They took their Trump gear to the Capitol, and then they used the Trump gear to beat up police officers. And I bring this up, and your first response is BLM. It's different, dude. It's very, very, very different.
but hold on. Notice that you said different, so you know they're not innocent.
Oh my God. Do you need me to explain the difference?
Well, the difference is that we had so much pent up anger for being done so wrong. Right?
You were wrong. You have pent up anger because you're stupid and you believed stupid things. And it didn't matter that Trump had lost every court case across the country. It didn't matter, like, even his two of the attorneys that were selling you this lie, two of the attorneys that were up there on that stage telling you the election was stolen, both of them have now pled guilty and said that it wasn't true. You got lied to. And you're mad at us still. You're still mad at us because you can't own up to the fact that you were lied to, and you're still mad about it. All of you are still mad for being lied to. You're mad at the wrong people, dude. How many people are in jail right now because they were lied to by Donald Trump and his team? And they're sitting in jail now because they went and tried to stop a process that, number one, they couldn't ever stop anyways. Even if they had got in there and stopped the process from happening, it still would have fucking happened. He still lost. No matter how much damage, no matter how much chaos they would have created on that day, it still would have happened. Joe Biden would still be president today. You got used and abused, and you're still mad about it. And there's people in jail who were not smart enough to realize they'd been lied to, and you guys are still defending this guy.
I don't think you really taking into account everything that done happened.
Well, then, like what?
I mean, the man was elected.
By the way, because let's go one by one, because I'm going to want to fact check each point. So I'm not trying to cut you off, but if we're going to list like what happened, let's go one by one. Is that okay?
I mean, that's fine with me.
Cool. Go ahead.
But I mean, this man got elected, and the first thing y'all did was Russian collusion.
Okay.
And then
let's go. Okay. Did members of the Russian government work with members of the Trump team?
There was no proof of that.
There was proof of that.
Robert Mueller report
There
said
were 35 indictments in the Mueller report, including Donald Trump's campaign manager, Paul Manafort, who was having communication with Russia, including Michael Cohen, who was working a deal with Russia for the Trump Tower Moscow. He lied about that, including Michael Flynn. There were lots of connections between Donald Trump and Russia. Donald Trump sat on a campaign stage and said, Russia, if you're listening, find those emails. You can look at Steve Bannon's company that he was on the board of, Cambridge Analytica. They were sharing their information. Steve Bannon, who worked for the Trump campaign, were sharing their information with Russia. There was all sorts of collusion. By the way, we didn't say Russia collusion. Donald Trump said Russia collusion. Collusion itself is not a crime. What Mueller investigated was any and all connections between the Trump campaign and Russia, and he found a lot. So you were lied to about that too.
Well, hold on. Let me fact check you. I saw Nancy Pelosi many times and Chuck Schumer many times say Russia collusion, and then also in the Mueller report it was a nothing burger.
It was not a nothing, but there were 35 Lombardi. What do you think an indictment is?
Well, it didn't connect Trump. It didn't connect Trump.
And this is the part that you were lied to about. The investigation wasn't into Trump. The investigation, and I'll say it slowly and again, the investigation was into any and all connections between the Trump campaign.
But who were they blaming?
Shut up! I wasn't done. Listen with your ears. Now listen to just these words. This is what was being investigated, okay? Any and all connections between the Trump campaign and Russia.
But who are they blaming?
It was an investigation. There's not blame in an investigation. It was an investigation.
What's your name again?
Jay.
Jay, now you got to be honest.
I am being honest. I am, and I feel like you're avoiding this right now, but I'll be honest.
When all this was happening, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi
don't care. They weren't part of the investigation. I don't care what they had to say.
But the thing is,
I don't care.
All they was talking about was Donald Trump.
Doesn't matter.
All they was trying to do was
I don't care.
Him.
I don't care what they said. If you're listening to politicians to get your news, that's your fault.
Well, that's the thing.
Listen, I'm not doing that either. We're talking about what actually happened. We're not talking about what politicians say and how politicians spin things. We're talking about what actually happened, and you don't know the truth of what happened. You're mad at Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer because you want to blame somebody, because that's what Republicans do. You blame some people. Instead of just being educated on what's happening, you just blame people. So again, the investigation from Mueller was into any and all connections between the Trump campaign and Russia, and he found connections. In fact, Paul Manafort and Michael Flynn both pled guilty, and they both worked for the Trump campaign.
Okay, but then
I
did know about that Flynn.
Okay,
but that's the thing is y'all.
So it's not nothing, right?
But the thing is, they were trying to politicize it and try to go after Trump.
Well, people can politicize things all they want. Like every politician politicizes everything. This is my point from earlier. Stop worrying about what the politicians are saying. There wasn't a single politician that was involved in the Mueller report. The Mueller report was an independent investigation. Whatever politicians said about it doesn't really matter. All that you should worry about is knowing what the truth is. I don't care what Chuck Schumer or Donald Trump said. I read the Mueller report. That's why I know what was in it.
Well, let me ask you this.
Did you read the Mueller report?
Did
you read it?
I heard some people talk about it.
Did you read it? Did you read it?
I did not.
You did not. Okay, now you can ask your question.
Well, let me ask you this.
Sure.
Who was the report presented to?
Congress.
Exactly, and that's what I'm getting at.
It still doesn't matter. Congress. So, what did the Mueller report conclude?
That Trump didn't have any connection to any of it.
It did not conclude that. Do you want me to tell you what it concluded?
What did it conclude?
So, at the time, the Attorney General was Bill Barr, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Bill Barr, the Attorney General, is under the opinion, and he may be right, he may be wrong. There's no real right or wrong on this, to be honest. There are many legal scholars that believe you cannot prosecute a sitting president. Attorney General Barr is a person who believes you cannot prosecute a sitting president. Because the investigation was done under the purview of the Attorney General William Barr, Robert Mueller concluded that he could not exonerate Trump, and that he did not have the authority to charge Trump, and that if charges were to be brought against Trump, they would have to be brought by the Senate. That's all that was concluded. Trump was not deemed innocent. He was not deemed guilty. He was deemed that after the end of the investigation, Mueller said, I do not have the authority to charge him. But he specifically said he was not exonerating Trump. And I can give you proof that what Donald Trump did should at the very least be investigated. Donald Trump on the campaign trail, it was brought to the American people's attention that he was working on a project in Moscow with the Russian government called Trump Tower Moscow.
Oh, hold on. Was that in the report?
Yes, this was in the report too. It was brought to the attention that he was working on this. Now, Trump owned up to that. There's no crime, and that's not a crime for him to want to build a hotel in Russia. It was a licensing agreement, so I guess he's not building it. But it was not a crime for a private citizen to have a hotel in Russia. Everything he was doing, that was fine. It was above board. But because Russia is a political foe and he was running to become president, that could create a conflict of interest. So Donald Trump said, we've abandoned those talks. Turns out he did not abandon those talks. Those talks were ongoing through 2018. He and his team were still doing business deals with the Russian government while he was in office. That's part of the thing. That's part of what the Mueller investigation found. The thing that I think a lot of times Republicans don't realize, when you think that the reason Donald Trump is being investigated now is because Joe Biden is in office, it's kind of true. But the reason it's true is because you weren't allowed to investigate him while he was in office. And then some of these crimes he committed after he left office, or supposedly committed, whatever you want to say. I'll do it that way. But that's why he's being prosecuted now. Because Mueller basically set the stage, said you can't prosecute a sitting president. Sorry.
And they didn't, and then they tried to go from the whole collusion thing to obstruction of justice or something like that.
No, the next one was about the withholding aid to Ukraine for political favors.
Right, and
do you think whether it's Trump or not? Do you think? So the way this works is Congress approves funds, right? So Congress had approved the aid to Ukraine. We've been giving aid to Ukraine for years. Congress approved that aid. That's how, because they control the purse, right? Then that goes to the president. The president has some options. He can reject that. He can veto it. But if he accepts the aid, he has a certain amount of time to release it. And I want to say it's 3 months. I keep meaning to fact check this after, but there's a certain amount of time that he's allowed to hold that aid until he releases it. This would show, like, this is what Joe Biden did when Obama asked him to tell Ukraine, like, hey, we're not going to give you this aid if you don't fire your corrupt prosecutor. But what Trump did is he kept the aid past the amount of time he was allowed to, and then he tried to hold that aid over their head by saying, hey, do me a political favor. That's what the second impeachment was for. And again, impeachment aren't necessarily crimes. You can be impeached for things that aren't crimes. Like when Bill Clinton was impeached, it wasn't for a crime. Right?
I mean, no.
Right. So he was impeached because of his behavior.
Well, I guess it was perjury. So I mean, he did lie about it.
Well, I think he got it for lying before Congress. So I mean, technically you could, but he also had a really great loophole there where he was allowed to say, like, he was allowed to say sexual relations. He didn't have sexual relations because he didn't have sex. So that was his loophole. Stupid that we ever investigated it, but that's kind of how he got out of it. Well,
I think he should have been investigated, but
he was investigated. In fact, that whole investigation started off of a different investigation, a land deal from Arkansas. There was an investigation looking into a land deal that they had completed, and through that, they found out about Monica Lewinsky. That's how the whole thing happened. So it wasn't the thing he ultimately got impeached for wasn't even what they were investigating.
Well, when it returned to Trump, he's the executive. I mean, yeah. Once he gets that money, he can do what he wants with that money.
No, he can't. No, that's not how this works. And we have checks and balances. So that's how our Constitution works. You don't want no branch is supposed to have ultimate power to do whatever they want. That's so when Congress appropriates the funds, the executive branch they have some leeway with what they can do with it in terms of how long they can hold it, in terms of if they can reject it, if they can try and send it back. But they can't just do whatever the fuck they want.
Well, he got executive privilege. He can invoke that executive privilege for any circumstance.
That's not executive privilege. It would have nothing to do with this. Executive
well, that's
privilege.
what Bill Barr said.
No, that is not what Bill Barr said.
Bill Barr said he had executive privilege.
No. Do you know what executive privilege is?
Is an extra privilege for the president in case
what does it do? Executive privilege is basically the president saying like, hey, I don't have to tell the American public this information. That's it. It doesn't mean that they can do whatever the fuck they want. It just means that they can.
Well, that's
they can
not
use
what Bill Barr said.
I think you're wrong about that. There's no way Bill Barr is for whatever you want to say about Bill Barr. I don't like Bill Barr, but he is an intelligent person, and Bill Barr would never make.
And he knew the law, and
he would never say something that stupid. Bill Barr did not say this was executive privilege. Bill Barr's talking about executive privilege, I think, was about the documents. But even then, Bill Barr has repeatedly said that Donald Trump, by all evidence, is guilty of what he did with the documents. So this wouldn't have anything to do with executive privilege. I appreciate you trying to come up with an argument, but like Bill Barr never said that. This wouldn't even fall under executive privilege.
Well, anyways, I mean, y'all then y'all went to try to impeach him.
He got impeached. Well, he did. He got impeached twice.
And not once, but twice.
Correct. And both times there was plenty of evidence that would say like that was bad behavior. So you can disagree with that. That's fine if you want to disagree with that. But
so we went from this man getting elected fairly. Yeah. He got elected fairly.
Yep.
By the people. The people wanted him in there.
Some people.
Most of the people.
Not most people. He didn't even win the popular vote. In fact, most of the people wanted Hillary, if we're talking that way. He won because of the Electoral College, but the majority of the people wanted Hillary.
Well, it don't matter. He got elected.
Okay. You said most of the people. I was just correcting that.
He got elected fairly.
Correct.
And then y'all hit him with Russian collusion. And then
but there was evidence. But Lumbardy, did I say that right? We just went over Russian collusion. There was evidence of Russian collusion. You've already admitted that. So don't say that was unfair. There were like the Moscow Tower thing itself. There was evidence of that. There was he broke the rules on both impeachments.
Okay? Well, it was all political.
Well, yeah, but impeachment is a political process, dude. There's no impeachment that isn't political. It's always political when it's impeachment.
And then y'all hit him with Ukraine.
We just talked about that one. He withheld. He used congressionally appropriated funds to try and get political dirt on his opponent, and he held those funds past when he was allowed to.
And then y'all hit him with not one.
Why do you keep saying we hit him? Clearly, he did these things, right? Why is he such a victim here? Why do you insist that this is people hitting him with things when there's evidence that he did this? You can agree or disagree that it was as serious as some people think it is, but you can't keep saying like they hit him with it. These things happened.
Well, not one, but two impeachments.
Correct. And in both impeachments, you've already agreed there's evidence.
And then we get to COVID-19. COVID-19, and then y'all just lose y'all absolute
By the way,
mind.
You have a different opinion than Donald Trump on COVID-19. Donald Trump believes that getting the vaccine out there quickly was a good thing. He believes you should be vaccinated. You have a different view than him.
But that's the thing. I mean, this man didn't even get a chance to be president. I mean, he was hit with collusion, Ukraine, impeachment, and COVID. I mean, that's not fair.
Dude, this is fucking... Do you have kids?
Not yet. We're trying though.
Okay. All right. You plan on having kids, right?
Hopefully. Or if not, we're going to adopt.
If your kid keeps getting grounded every weekend because they break the rules, and then they come to you and they're like, it's not fair, you ground me every weekend. Wouldn't you just be like, yeah, because you keep breaking the rules?
But I mean, a lot of that. I mean,
bro, like you're an adult human being. You have to understand that there are consequences, even when you are the president of the United States. And this is what I'm telling you. You've been lied to so much that even though we went through this whole charade, and you've admitted that, like, yeah, he did things that were wrong. then your conclusion at the end was it wasn't fair. Don't do things that are wrong, dude. You know how many presidents have been impeached? Not many. Not many. Do you know how many have been impeached twice? 0. And instead of you looking at the evidence and saying, oh, well, yeah, he should have been impeached twice. There was plenty of evidence. Instead, you guys just want to bitch and moan all day.
Because y'all are after him.
No,
Nancy Pelosi was after my president. She was after my president.
See, you are a child. You are a child in the way that you argue. They were picking on my president. Well, even if they were picking on him, he didn't need to keep breaking the rules, and he did. And there's evidence that he kept breaking the rules. But you don't care, dude, because at the end of the day, all of you are the same. You don't care about reality. You don't care about the evidence. You just want to be right. And Donald Trump sold you on a bill of goods that he did not deliver on, and he won't deliver on.
Oh, he delivered on a lot of things.
No, I'm not done. But you will just keep believing garbage, even though you've been on here for 20 minutes now, and you've admitted that he did all these things. And at the end, you're going to get off this, and you're going to go right back to believe in the same shit you believed beforehand. Evidence does not matter to you. Reality does not matter to you. You just have a belief in Donald Trump, and that belief is based on your feelings. That's it. This is a fairy tale, dude. The reality is not with you. The stats are not with you. Every bit of evidence is not with you. The only thing you have is a desperate belief that Donald Trump isn't who everybody else says he is. And you have no evidence to the contrary.
Well, what I was trying to get at is y'all wonder why we so mad. And that's why. Because y'all didn't give him a fair chance.
I don't know. I know why you're mad. I know exactly why you're mad. And I told you at the beginning, it's because you got lied to and you believed it and you still believe it. And so it's confusing to you when you look around and you see people like myself and you see the rest of the world and you see all of us like coming down on Donald Trump and you're like, this isn't fair. But it's because you've been lied to. It's like you're the last flat earther. Like if you've been taught your whole life that the earth was flat and then the evidence came out that the earth was not flat. And then and there are people like this and they're like, no, I just don't believe it. Because you want to believe what you want to believe, Lumbardy, which is a silly thing to do. It's a silly thing when you're presented with evidence to want to come up with an outcome. So no matter how much evidence I give you, no matter if Donald Trump goes to jail, no matter if he loses every court case, no matter if it's a Republican judge, if it's a Democrat judge, no matter if the evidence is overwhelming, you will never accept that Donald Trump could do anything wrong. And that's a scary place for our country. And that should be a scary place for you. And it should be scary. Like, it scares me that you're also going to bring kids into that same belief system. Kids, ignore evidence. Believe what this stranger, a man you've never met, just believe him.
And well, that's where you're wrong. I can admit when he was wrong.
When was he wrong?
I mean, he was wrong about the COVID.
Oh God!
And
so
how
the one thing he was right about is the part you're like he was wrong.
I mean, the whole government shutdown and the whole. But it wasn't really him. It was the Democratic government.
Okay, dude, no, I can't do this anymore with you. I can't, dude. The one thing that he was right about is the one. You're like, I can admit when he was wrong, and it was the one thing that he was right about. Well, I mean, it's the one time Donald Trump looked at and you know why he was probably right about that? Because he was being briefed every single day on the real evidence, and then he almost lost his life to COVID. And then he was vaccinated, and then he was treated, and he continues to be vaccinated, and he continues to say you should be vaccinated, and you, the person who has no scientific or medical training, no understanding of the facts at all. That's the one thing you're willing to say he's wrong about. Dude, I mean this respectfully. You're not educated enough on anything politically to have strong opinions.
Oh, you
should abandon all of your opinions and start over. I'm not saying you have to believe me or anybody else, but you should stop having opinions when you don't have data and when you don't have good arguments. Because I've rolled through every one of your arguments today, and you're going to walk off this call, and you're not going to change a goddamn thing.
Well, can I ask you something?
Sure.
When Trump got that COVID, and he was in that hospital,
yeah,
you wanted him to die, didn't you?
No. because I'm not a piece of shit.
Well, I know a lot of liberals that were hoping
I don't
and
give.
praying.
I do not care. That's not who I am. It's not who I would be. I'm not that kind of person, dude. I'm not a piece of shit. I don't wish evil on people because they're the other party. That's why I spend all my day talking to Republicans. I don't live in an echo chamber. I talk to you guys every single day, and I try my best to get through like all this shit that you guys have been fed, and I do my best to try and help you guys understand how to get out of this. I was in your party. I was in this. I was part of it. I worked for the GOP.
Well, why don't you come back?
I held your same beliefs because I look at evidence and I act accordingly. I don't have a belief system. I don't believe that the Republicans are right. I don't believe that the Democrats are right. I don't believe in politicians. I believe in evidence. I will always go with where the evidence leads me. And when Donald Trump took over, there was no more evidence that mattered. He does not care about evidence. He cares about power, and he cares about winning. He will lie. He did it through the entire primaries. He accused Ted Cruz's father of being in on the assassination of JFK.
Ain't nothing wrong with lying.
He claimed that Obama wasn't born in this country. He still continues that claim. He will lie about everything. He lied about Hillary Clinton. He will lie about every single person who ever opposes him. And if he ever gets in trouble, he will lie about that too. I could read you a list that would take hours of all the things that no response would be, well, all politicians lie, because you don't care that he lied. You just want to keep voting for him. You do not care. You have about truth that are important to you. As long as Donald Trump wins, truth be damned. And if you look at history, if you look at throughout the history books, people like you who didn't care about evidence and just rooted for somebody, those are the ones that let bad things happen to their country. People like me are not. People like me who stand up when there's evidence and change our minds when confronted with evidence, we are not the ones who cause issues with countries. It's people like you who just follow blindly, and I mean blindly.
Well, I don't really think there's anything wrong with lying, honestly. I mean, if you got to lie to get your...
You're a Christian, I assume?
I am.
What does the Bible say about lying?
Well, that's besides the point.
You just said there's nothing wrong with lying.
Yeah.
Dude, you are not a good person, honestly. I hate saying this, but like, you're not a good person, dude. You're just a really bad person. You don't care if people lie as long as they get what they want. That's what you just said. You, the guy that's like trying to have bring children into this world. Is that what you're going to teach your kids? It's okay to lie? Is that what you're going to teach your wife? Or not teach your wife, tell your wife? You can lie to your wife, right? As long as you get what you want. You can tell your kids, you guys can lie all you want as long as you get what you want. This is what this is what Donald Trump did to you. He forced you to be okay with shitty behavior. He forced you to ignore your Christianity. He forced you to ignore your values. Now, somehow, 7 years later, you've become a person who's willing to stand up and online and in front of other people and say, like, it's okay to lie. You wouldn't have said this 7 years ago. You never would have said that. But what's happened is you've had 7 years of having to defend a piece of shit guy who lies all the time. And because you can't refute the claims, what you're left with is now you just have to be like, it's okay to lie. Well, I guarantee you weren't this person pre-Trump. You've become this person because you are required to overlook shitty behavior so that you can keep supporting him.
There's nothing wrong. I got to say this. There's nothing wrong with lying when it's for the good of the people. And that's what he did. Now, I do believe lying is bad.
Yeah, no. But
he did it for the good of the people.
Nope. He did it for the good of him. And this is really sad, man. This is one of the saddest moments I've had on a live. You are fully involved in cult behavior. I've been in a cult, dude. I've been there. I've been in a cult where whenever evidence was presented to us, even if it was right, turns out it was right, by the way. After I left the cult, I found out it was right. But every time the evidence was presented to us, we were told it was fake. It was fake. It was anti-Mormon literature. I was Mormon at the time. And that's how we were trained from the time we were kids. If there is evidence against what I believed, I was taught not to read it. In fact, when I was a Mormon missionary, I was instructed not to read it. If they found literature that was critical of the Mormon church in my possession, I would get in trouble. This is how you mind control people. This is why when Trump said he loves the uneducated, he was talking about you, Lumbardy. And it doesn't mean education like you went to school. It means like you don't educate yourself. That's who Trump wants. That's who his base has become. You are his base and you feel special. But the problem is you feel special because of your allegiance. You feel special because he keeps telling you how special you are for believing everything that he said. This is an abusive relationship that you're in, dude. Like you have somebody mind controlling you and he's giving you like these morsels of like, you're great. We're going to fix the country. Thanks for this. We're in this together. This is a fight for the soul of America. Meanwhile, he's getting money from you guys, not paying off his attorneys, going to court over and over again, trying to just basically keep himself out of jail until his life is over, at which point his children's lives are going to be ruined. The lives of those who are around him are already being ruined. His attorneys are going to jail now. He's going to get a bunch of people going to jail. And all of his attorneys are saying the same thing. Like, they're all saying the exact same thing, that they were duped by him. They were duped because they just believed in him. And now when they're faced with reality and faced with the evidence, they're saying like, yeah, I got fooled. And the evidence clearly shows that he was lying. But it took them, and it will take you probably, getting in trouble. It took a lot of these January 6 people that are in jail now. It took them getting arrested and getting away and losing access to the internet for a while and losing access to their groups and not turning on Trump rallies all day and not turning on Fox News and Newsmax to get unindoctrinated. And once they got away from the Trump cult that you're in, they realized, oh my God, like none of this stuff is true. And there they are sitting in jail because they went to the Capitol to fight police officers and try and stop a process that they had no chance of stopping.
Well, they stood up for America.
They did not. They stood up for Donald Trump, and they're in jail, and it should be embarrassing, and you should be embarrassed, but you won't be because you have no desire to know the truth. You just have a desire to keep being angry at everybody but Donald Trump. You really should have learned at this point, but you don't. Until Donald Trump is no longer with us, you'll believe this. And unfortunately, the thing that sucks is Donald Trump has now laid a blueprint. And that blueprint in this country is if you can get enough people to believe that you are the savior, you are the one person who can fix everything,
yes,
then you can do what did you just say?
He is.
Yeah, that's the problem, dude.
And he's coming back.
No, Lumbardy, let me tell you something. Let me tell you how fucking stupid that is. We have a constitution. We have 3 branches of government. Those 3 branches have equal control. There is not a scenario in this country where one singular person can fix everything. That's by design. Our founding fathers designed our country so that one single person could not fix everything. Read a fucking book. Read the fucking Constitution. Get out of the cult, dude. You just said one of the stupidest things you possibly could have said, and you said it with your whole goddamn chest. Even if he's president, he's not fixing this shit. Nobody will work with him. He has limited power. The only way for him to get more power is for you guys to grant it to him. And if you grant it to him, if you elect enough Republicans and they give Donald Trump power, congratulations, we're fascist now. Is that what you want?
I'll give him everything he needs.
All right. This is the problem. You're an idiot. My God. My God. That's so frustrating. All right. In the box, please. Opposition only. Dude, I don't even think that's a troll. I know I give people the benefit of the doubt too much. Sorry, my eyes are bugging the shit out of me today. I got allergies, so it's going to look like I'm high, but I swear I'm not. I don't even think that's a troll. I really don't. I think that's I know people like that. That's a real person. That's honestly devastating. It's honestly devastating. All right. Bob, is that with the Bob? With the Bob? All right, this was somebody. I don't know who that was. They're not here, though. Who haven't I got? I see Evan Dunright. I brought you up before, so I'm going to get to other people. Christina. Looks like Mike Johnson won the vote for Speaker of the House. What? How many did he get? Miss Julie, let's go. Miss Julie, I'd like to end the live with you if we can do that. Go out on a high note, maybe around like 12:15 or 12:30. All right, nothing there. Opposition only in the box, please. Christina's gone. Dark Paganoff. What is that? I don't even know what that is. Hey, how you doing? 220 was the vote. All right. Are you there? Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Is that Athena saying debate you on liberalism versus leftism sometime? Oh, shit. We should talk about that in the DMs. I don't know that... Yeah, well, I'll DM you about that, Athena. We'll talk about that. I don't know how well that would go. We'd have to look at it. Plus, I'm going to guess you're going to have more sources, which is fine. I think maybe you educate me on that. We could have a discussion about it rather than a debate. I'd be happy to have that discussion. But I don't know that I subscribe to a particular ideology. So we could talk about that. W Athena already. Hey, fuck you guys. You already gave Athena the win? I guess I did too. Care Bear. Yeah, look, Athena, we'll do it for sure. We'll do it. I'd rather have it be like a long form conversation.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Welcome, Care Bear.
So I just wanted to say I come to your lives quite often. I find them, very entertaining, and some is education, but I mostly think they're entertaining, and I find you handsome.
Thank you. That's very kind.
But we don't agree at all, on things. So I'll answer a question, but I'm opposition for sure.
Okay. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I was trying to read the question that you have listed. I couldn't read it. In the future, you will lie about voting for Trump?
Yeah. Whoa.
I won't lie. I won't lie about voting, but I will say that a lot of people do lie. And I don't have any reason to lie about it, but people do. So I do agree with that statement.
So in the future, Donald Trump's likely going to be, in my opinion, it's likely that he's going to be convicted of multiple crimes. It's likely that we're going to see the amount of corruption. We've already seen the people that turn on him, what they say about him. Once he's gone and he no longer has the megaphone that he has, people are going to turn on him even more. Stories will come out about the Donald Trump presidency that will be embarrassing, and it'll be kind of like how there's so many people now that are like, I didn't support going into Iraq, but like everybody supported going into Iraq, and they all just pretend that they didn't now. It's going to be one of those situations. People will be embarrassed that they voted for Donald Trump. I think people will be allowed to say they voted for him in 2016, but people who vote for him in 2024, I don't think that will age well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Like I said, I don't really know what, because you say everybody's has their different opinion on everything. So,
well, this is the problem: is that there's a lot of people with opinions, and opinions don't really matter if they're not backed up by data, if they're not backed up by good arguments. The issue that I generally have is very rarely does somebody come on here with a position about Trump that is nuanced. It's almost always excusing his bad behavior, some sort of conspiracy theory, or saying like, well, everybody's bad, so he's not bad. I've never really had an argument or a discussion or a conversation with somebody who could give me a reason why, or a nuanced position on why they support Donald Trump.
Well, I feel like majority of our presidents have all lied about something and said they were going to do something and didn't come through with something.
Do you think there's a difference between lying and not fulfilling a campaign promise?
No, I believe they all lie though about something.
No, but do you see that those might be different? Like if you campaign on something, but then you get into office and you don't have the Senate or the House with you, then sometimes your campaign promises just aren't going to come true, right?
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Do you think that's different than just saying, just flat out lying, something that you knew was untrue but you lied
I
about?
feel like all the presidents have done corrupt things.
I understand that.
One's
I'm
not
asking. I'm
better
not.
than another.
Listen. I know, but listen to the question. Do you think? And this isn't specifically about Trump. I'm just saying, like, we have to learn. We have to parcel that out. There's a difference between a broken campaign promise and a lie, right?
Right?
Okay. That's all I was asking.
Yes, those are two different things.
Okay. So.
And I also
So
like,
what
when
is
I
something?
listened-
If we went
when I
back.
listened to your lives, I felt bad when you made a statement how your parents like disowned you because of
Not my
you not
parents.
supporting Trump.
Family members, not my parents, but family
Yeah, I
members.
think that's horrible. I felt bad for you when you said that
Thank you.
because that's not right, you know?
Yeah, and I don't think
So-
that's not exclusive to MAGA. I mean, there's definitely. I have a super liberal cousin who didn't talk to her parents for like 3 years because they voted for Trump. So I'm
But
not. That's not even like. That's
I'm
not even
also curious how
one-sided.
you went from a Christian to like an atheist.
Evidence.
But that to me, I've never heard of anybody going from that to that.
Crazy. That it probably happens a lot more than you know. Then, because that happens quite often. In fact, most of the people I know who are atheists were at one time Christian. It comes with an understanding of what Christianity does, how religion works, how cults work, how evidence works. The internet has been very unkind to religion in general. Religion forces you to, in some instances, hold very bigoted views. And when you get into society, and specifically for me, I lived in an area where everybody held the same views as I did. It was easy to hold those views. But then I moved to an area where I was virtually the only one with those views. And there were people around me, specifically gay people, who I held pretty bigoted views towards. And I learned very quickly that it was not them that was a problem. It was me. I was the one with the views that were harmful. Them being gay didn't affect me one bit. Just as much as none of my other friends who weren't gay, who they chose to be attracted to, it didn't affect me one bit. And I realized that. But when you're in the cult, when you're in the depth of it, and everybody
So
has
you
the
were
same
in
opinion.
a cult where you were taught a certain way, and that's how you had to be.
I mean, all religion is essentially that way.
But I mean, like
Christianity
I'm
is that
Christian,
way.
I'm Christian, and I don't believe I'm like I'm more of just a relationship with God, not so much a religion. And if you're a real Christian, you're not supposed to judge other people or put people down. You're supposed to set an example.
Sure. So do you think gay people should be allowed to get married?
That's a good question.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
I don't agree with it, but
See?
I'm not saying that I don't agree with it. That's not what I don't agree with it, but I mean, I'm not the one to make that statement come true or false.
See what I mean? It's forced your belief system. This
Yeah,
book,
you're raised a certain way, and that's how
Correct.
you're taught. Correct.
Correct. Bigotry.
That's not. It's just how you're raised and what.
No,
you
it is.
believe
No,
in.
it is bigotry.
Like having a child is supposed to be a man and a woman. So that's how.
Says who?
That's just the Bible. That's how
See?
we were.
Bigotry.
That's how we were raised, and that's how we were taught.
Bigotry.
If that's what you call it, bigotry, that's what you feel.
By definition, that's what it is. This is the problem I have. This is when you ask me why I left. It's because I was forced through those beliefs to hold some pretty gross positions. And when I look at the justification for that, what ultimately your justification, Carebear, no matter what you say, your ultimate justification is that you believe in something that you have no evidence of. There's zero evidence that even exists. And you're willing to hold that belief without zero evidence and use those beliefs at times to hurt other people.
I don't hurt anybody.
Would you vote for gay marriage?
No.
Okay, that would be hurting other people. You have the right to be married. But because of your belief, and this belief is based on literally nothing other than a feeling, You're willing to take away the rights of other people for a belief. And what this also did to you that you don't know, and this is why it was, when I left my religion, it's about the same, it kind of coincided with me leaving republicanism, because I was Mormon, right? So we have very strict beliefs. We have very strict, it's a high demand religion. There's moral codes that we live by. There's promises that we keep. There's oaths that we swear. And a lot of those oaths, in every way, Donald Trump was the antithesis of what we believed in. He was the exact opposite of the kind of people we were taught to be. Meanwhile, Mitt Romney, he fit the mold as a Mormon perfectly. He's a uniquely good Mormon. He keeps all the rules. His public life and his private life fall in line with the Mormon beliefs. And I watched my entire church turn on Mitt Romney and follow Donald Trump. And the reason is because when you're Christian, or when you're religious, and you've been so when you brought up that way, you have been conditioned to believe things without any evidence. And whether that doesn't mean that you can't be a Christian and also be somebody who recognizes evidence, but you need to be aware of that. You need to be aware that you have been conditioned your entire life to just believe things based on a feeling.
I hear what you're saying.
And that's where I feel like you are now with Trump. There's no evidence.
It's not just me. I feel like it's a lot of people like that.
Well, there's a lot of Christians, and there's a lot of people who have been conditioned to believe things without evidence. What I'm saying is that the whole reason I left the Republican Party was because of evidence. The whole reason I left Christianity as a whole and became an atheist is because of evidence. I was tired of using my feelings to justify hurting other people. And the Republican Party is a party that uses their feelings to justify hurting other people. Your entire platform, everything you guys talk about, you turn on any Republican news source, it's attacking trans people, it's demonizing immigrants, it's mocking Joe Biden for his age, it's taking money away from poor people, it's taking money away from retired people, it's cutting entitlement spending, it's banning books from schools. It's simply now the Republican Party has become just this group who thinks that whatever they feel in their heart, it should be legislated. Yeah. And that's dangerous. That's super dangerous.
Like I said, I just don't understand at all how somebody cannot believe in God. Like if you
oh my
believe,
God. Okay. Well, let's talk about that then.
I've had prayers and he's actually answered them. So
those
I know
are feelings.
It's real.
Those are feelings.
So that's why I'm
those are feelings, Carebear. Those are feelings.
I don't like, it's not a feeling when a door opens and a door closes that you pray about.
Yeah, sure it is. It happens listen, let me tell you something that I realized after I left religion. Your mind is a very powerful thing. Very powerful. You can still, the way I used to pray for things, like if I was struggling with something, I would pray before I would take tests at school. I would pray before difficult decisions. You know what that did? I would get down on my knees, I would close my eyes, and I would think specifically about the things I needed help with. And I would pray to God for help with those things. Okay. And a lot of times that would help. Well, now I don't believe in God. And you know what I do when I need help with things? When I really want to focus, I turn off all the sound. I close my eyes. I get into a comfortable position and I think about all the things that I want to do. I think about the help that I want. And guess what? It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing.
So you don't ever feel lonely or empty without having God in your life?
No, I don't. In fact, one of the most poignant moments was one of my friends. He called me. He was one of the first people to get me moving out, and he had left, and he was an atheist at that point. And I asked him that exact question. I was like, dude, well, now what? You have this family, and Mormons believe that families will be together forever, as a family unit, that you will live on in eternity in a family unit. And I asked him, I was like, what do you do with that? Like, now that you don't believe in an afterlife, what do you do? Like, don't you feel empty? And he's like, no. He's like, I'm a better person now because I don't believe that there's like this eternity where I can make up for the days that I missed here. So I wake up every day and I think of today might be my last day. Today might be the last day I see my children. Today might be the last day I see my wife. I'm a better husband, I'm a better father, and I'm a better person.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know what else he learned? He runs one of the biggest, the biggest dispensary in Utah. He wound up being a key figure in legalizing marijuana in Utah. He runs a dispensary. He obviously helps patients all across the state of Utah. It's only medical there. And when he started hiring for the dispensary, as a former conservative person, the people that wanted to work at the dispensary largely were not Mormon and largely were liberal. And now he's surrounded himself with very liberal people that work there, people with all sorts of ideologies. He has gay people that work with him. He has trans people that work with him. He has people from other cultures that work with him. And what he realized, hold on, I was almost there. And what he has now since realized, even since then, is that there were all these internal things inside of him where he was judging people without even realizing he was judging them. We would all say the same things you do, but the phrase that has stuck in my head forever, and it will always stick in my head, is there is no hatred like Christian love. It is worse because it masks itself as love, it masks itself as caring, and then it is used for bigotry.
I don't bigot. I'm listening to you. I'm not knocking you in any way. I just feel like if I didn't believe in God, I would be lonely, I would be empty, and I would nobody to call on and be there for me. And I've prayed, I've seen him answer prayers, and I don't go to church all the time, but I know God has me and is with me.
Let me be really honest with you, brutally honest. All that shit you're giving God credit for, that was you.
What do you mean?
Give yourself some fucking credit. You sat down. You prayed about those things. You manifested those things. You asked for those things to happen, and you made those things happen. And instead of like empowering yourself and saying like, yeah, look at me, like I can do hard things. And instead, Christianity teaches you that everything that you didn't think you could do, that you wound up doing, you got to give credit to God. And that keeps you humble, is
Correct.
what they say, right? Yeah, but what it really keeps you is docile and submissive. It makes sure that you know that if you ever leave that, you're fucked. And I can tell you, I'm a much better person as a non-Christian than I was when I was a Christian. And I tried harder to be a Christian then. It's much easier to be a good person now. It truly is. I don't have beliefs about other people.
I'm a good I try to be a good person too. Whether you believe in God or not, I think you should. Everybody should be.
Yeah, but the thing that sucks is like you're walking around this earth, everything you've accomplished, all these things anything that you've accomplished, anything that you've prayed for, any prayers that have come true, you did that. That was you. You should have that confidence in yourself.
Yeah, we don't take any credit for it.
But you should, because it's actually you, Carebear. And that's the thing that's the bummer about religion. That's the bummer about Christianity, is it makes it always they say humility, but it's docile. It's a way that they use, and I don't mean that like there's somebody that wants to use mind control, right? But it really is what it is. You like you believe in something your entire life, and you give credit for those beliefs for your entire life, and then you get to the end of your life and you credit yourself with nothing. Like all the stuff that you do, that's you. It's not God.
No, I give myself credit too. I just feel like, it's just if you don't believe it, if you haven't seen it, it's hard to believe it.
That's true. Look, it's scary as hell to leave. It was it's one of the scariest experiences of my life to leave my religion.
Really?
I can tell you, I'll be real honest about it. There was a podcast I would listen to called Mormon Stories. There's a guy named John DeLynn. He was excommunicated from the Mormon Church, and he was excommunicated because he started this podcast. And basically the podcast was for people who struggled with their faith, people who maybe didn't believe certain things. And he would have these guests on, and it was just story after story after story of people like deconstructing from their religion, and leaving a religion. And the overwhelming majority said the same thing you just said. Like, I was so afraid that when I left, I would have nothing. And when I did leave, I did feel like I had nothing. But the empowerment that comes as you build yourself back up is different than anything I've ever experienced. I'll be blatantly honest. I went through years of therapy, years.
Wow.
And you go through a deconstruction process, and what you learn through the deconstruction process is to trust yourself, to trust like the direction, to trust like your capabilities. Everybody listening right now at some point has felt like an imposter, like they got credit for something that they didn't really deserve, right? Like, oh, well, they think I did this, but really, like, I was just lucky, or like God helped me with that. Deconstruction teaches you to value yourself, teaches you to to lean on yourself, to value your mind, to open up to your mind, to empower your mind. And that is so much more rewarding than Christianity. Everything I did right in Christianity, I gave thanks to God. It was always God that did everything right, and everything that went wrong was my fault. Imagine if you were raising your child that way, that every time your child did something right, they were to praise you, and every time they did something wrong, it was their fault. How fucked up would your child be?
Yeah, well, we deserve credit too. I'm not saying that I'd ever give myself any credit.
I know, but do you have kids?
I do not.
Okay. I can tell you this, when you do have kids, you will not want your kids to give credit for their accomplishments to you. That's a weird thing.
I will definitely not want them to give me compliments.
So why would God, the person that's supposed to be our father, why would he want credit for everything?
Because he's our creator, so he's supposed to.
You're their creator.
You know?
But you're their creator.
Yeah, but there's things that people can't get through, I feel, on their own. If I didn't have the faith and the belief, I wouldn't have been able to do it on my own.
And I'm telling you, you can.
I'm here. I hear you.
Yeah.
I'm listening to you.
Look, if you abandon your views tomorrow, if you started this journey tomorrow, it would take some time. And there's communities out there. I like John DeLynn. He's great. Mormon Stories was great for me. If you started this tomorrow, within a couple of years, you would recognize that you're more powerful than you think, that you have more control over your life than you think. But the other thing that would be a real motherfucker, to be honest with you, is the way that you started viewing people. Now, I know you said you don't judge gay people, you don't hate gay people. It's just a belief, and I get that because I said the same.
You're not supposed to have hatred towards anybody.
Right. I said the same thing. I got it. But once I deconstructed religion, I did view people differently.
Well, yeah, because you're not following the religion beliefs, so of course
Exactly.
you do.
I viewed them as equals.
Right, because you're not following your beliefs. You're now on another path, so that makes sense.
And with religion, you can't actually view people outside of your belief system as equals because they're not. Your religion teaches you that they are not equal.
That's correct.
That's a problem.
And there's many people that are, that's not just, that's how I think that's the majority of the people. That's how they believe, and they don't want to listen. They don't want to hear it. They're just going to stick to that's it.
I would just say this, like, I never want to look, losing your faith is fucking brutal. It was one of the hardest things I went through. I see one of my childhood friends in my Discord talking about this. Like, I wasn't even like a great Mormon either. Like I was a relatively good Mormon. I went on a mission. I still believed in it. In fact, my friend, when he called me, when he left the Mormon church, the reason he called me is because he didn't think I was Mormon anymore. Because I didn't get married in a Mormon temple. I would drink. I didn't really go to church that much anymore, but I still held the beliefs. And I thought at some point I would go back. So he felt like I was a safe place to go to say like he had left, and he thought I was going to be on board with him. But I can just tell you, like, without making the decision to leave, I would start listening to maybe some podcasts or some things of people who left, and just hear the stories
of changing anything. I just came in here to be in opposition and tell you I enjoy your lives. I think you're handsome. I think you have a good, genuine heart. I feel you're a really good person. You would give a shirt off your back for anyone. And that's just how I feel about you. I feel like you're a good guy, good husband, or I don't know if you are or you're not or what you are.
I'm not married anymore.
But, or father, I think you said you have
I have a 3-year-old.
I'm sure you're a great father. And
thank you.
I just, I just didn't realize, even like now, and this is a little bit off topic, but even like in the dating scene, if somebody knows you support this or that, they don't even want to move forward. And I just find that like a bit odd too, because it's like,
I couldn't date it. There's no way I could date a Trump supporter. There's no way.
And like, to me, I don't.
Well,
Me,
because
it's not a
of
make
the
or break.
bigotry. It's because
It's
of the
not a-
bigotry. I cannot support people who think that they are better than other people because of
I
their
don't
beliefs.
think I'm better
can't do
than
that.
anybody. I do not
Well,
think I'm better than anybody.
I know you don't.
believe in
I know you don't think
conservative-
that. I know you don't think that,
agree
but
with
you
the
do.
conservative aspects, and certain things should get away with, and other things I think shouldn't. That's how I believe.
and I have I draw a hard line at bigotry, and the Republican Party platform is literally
because we won't accept certain things. We
correct. Certain people,
right. Well,
Correct.
it's not people, it's behavior.
yeah, behavior that has nothing to do with you.
Right. We don't want
Correct.
that.
That's bigotry.
So that's certain behaviors we don't agree with, and we're not going to vote for it.
Yeah, nobody's voting for
that's
that.
just-
I don't think that, and that's why I would never date somebody that was like a conservative
I feel like you're hardcore. Like, I'm not hardcore at it. I can be with someone who isn't a Trump supporter, but isn't going to talk about it or base everything, their daily living and lives about it. If you're not going to agree on everything, even if you have somebody.
Yeah, but I think a baseline of agreement for me when I'm dating somebody would be, are you a bigot? And if they are a bigot, then we're going to go the other way.
Yeah, I'm just not. I don't. If somebody doesn't agree with the party I'm with, I could not.
It's not the party. I don't care what party you're. Like if you were a Republican, and you did not support any of the bigotry that the Republicans support, then that would be a different story.
But then I wouldn't be Republican, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm just saying that doesn't make any sense.
That was a really honest moment. I appreciate that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So, I mean,
if I wasn't a bigot, I wouldn't be a Republican. I agree.
Well,
I think we just agreed there.
What you are saying just now, because you just said if they're Republican, but they're this or that.
Yeah, like if you were a Republican, where you're just like the Republican Party that says we just want fiscal freedom. Even if somebody like had a different border policy than me, if you had a different belief than I did on taxes, if you had a different belief than I did on healthcare, all of that stuff, like that's fine.
Okay.
I disagree. But when you start talking about like, hey, we need to ban books that talk about the gay people existing, when we need to ban gender pronouns, when we need to undo marriage equality, when we need to take away protection for women, when you need to take away the right for women to make their own choices, the same rights that I enjoy, the rights that I enjoy to have the autonomy of my own body. Yeah, like at those points, those are deal breakers for me.
Yeah,
it's not that they're Republican; it's the bigotry of republicanism that I have a problem with.
I understand.
Yeah. All right, well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you listening.
I wanted to hop in and listen.
Do me a favor. Go listen to one episode of Mormon Stories for me, will you?
All right. You have a good day.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye. That blind date didn't go very well. That was not a good blind date. Didn't go. That was one of the most honest moments I've ever had. When they're like, well, yeah, we wouldn't. If we got rid of all the bigotry, we wouldn't be a Republican. Dusty Skates. 0 out of 10 would not recommend.
Hello?
Hey.
I don't think
I'm not going to date you either.
Yeah.
I might. Let's see what you have to offer, actually. Let's find out.
Okay. I don't think she knew what she was saying when she agreed with you like that. I don't think she understood maybe she was being super honest, but I don't think she realized like what she just admitted, but that was funny. So your topic is, in the future, you think that I would lie about voting for Trump?
Mm-hmm.
In this upcoming election, right? Not the previous one. Is that or any.
Yeah, I can understand somebody voting for him in 2016. I don't really understand people voting for him in 2020, but like it was a weird time in this country. There was a lot of weird information at this point, though. Yeah, I think that it'll be hard to justify in the future that you voted for this guy in 2024.
Okay. So I listened to you, and one thing that I admire about you is that you used to be on one side, and then you say based on the evidence, you've kind of migrated to the other side. I just feel like you've kind of gone 100% the other direction. And if someone relied just on the evidence, you'd probably be more in the middle. But you seem like
well, so I went from Republican to Libertarian to I'm not really like a Democrat. The difference is between the Democrat Party and the Republican Party is you can have like a wide variety of views. You can have there's Democrats that like Athena was in here earlier and saying like she wants to debate liberalism versus leftism. We're both probably going to vote for Joe Biden. I don't want to speak for her, but like people would assume Athena and I are on the same side, but like we'll have varying degrees of views. The Republican Party, because of the way that they put out their views, it's just a bunch of talking points. So it's not that there's one or the other. I feel like there's room for a lot of people at the table in the Democrat Party. I feel like there's room for one type of person in the GOP, and that is just like Trump.
Okay.
So I did go the other way, but like I could go way more left, or I could be way more moderate. Like there's a ton of wiggle room for me, and I would still be a Democrat.
Would you say the timing of this like aligned with Trump coming into office for you?
100%. It aligned with the GOP primaries. I was still a Republican during the GOP primaries, and I hated Donald Trump. I saw, in my opinion, I saw right through him. I had done my final research paper in college, junior college, so it wasn't like a real research paper. But I'd done my final paper on like the business career of Donald Trump. I already knew he was a fraud. I had already lived through the birtherism shit. I was duped by him on the birtherism shit. I'd already been lied to by this guy about political things when he got into office. I already knew he was a liar. And then he started lying in the GOP, in the primary. And the more he lied, the more popular he got. And it blew my fucking mind. I was like, what? It was so confusing. I was like, how is this happening?
Yeah, so that's actually what I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
So is he currently gaining popularity in the polls? I see that on some of like I looked it up and I can't really tell because there's different sources. So I wanted to see what so it's hard to tell, right?
He's definitely losing support in the GOP for sure. Okay. He was at 90% approval. He's down below 60% now.
Okay. So my question is, what if he is going to gain popularity, and what if he does become a candidate again? What does that say about the majority of Americans?
That they're low information voters.
Almost.
That's a problem.
Right. So what do we do about it then?
I don't honestly know. Like if that happens, I've thought about this many times. I did not fear Donald Trump in 2016. I didn't even necessarily fear him in 2020. I fear him now because he's mad, he lost, he's vindictive, and he has a bunch of people around him who have convinced him that like, hey, we're running on fascism now. We're just going straight fascism. I can handle somebody who comes into office, who wins the presidency, who has ideas that I don't like. That's always going to happen. No matter who wins, they're going to have ideas that I don't like. I didn't like some of Trump's ideas in 2016. I didn't like who he was. I didn't like who he was in 2020. But everything we've seen since, and now the campaign that he's running now, that is honestly just like fascism. That scares me. That tells me that America is cool with giving up their power to one person. That makes me nervous.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I didn't vote for him in 2016, but I didn't vote for the Democratic Party either. But I will say that in 2016 I did support Trump because my family did. And I'm not really ashamed to admit it, but I'll tell you the reasons why I supported him. wasn't anything political. It was just because I found him entertaining.
Okay.
And
That's
why-
look, I get that.
support him.
I thought in 2016 it at least made sense to me that people were like, "Fuck this! No more politicians. Bring in like this guy. He's gonna tear shit up. He's gonna make things different. He's gonna open." I thought it would open the doors. I had a pretty optimistic approach. I thought it would open the doors to bring in a lot of people outside of politics and bring them in. A lot of people that I thought could do a lot of good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but that didn't happen.
It did not. Yeah.
No, he brought the worst of the worst up. Like, now the Republican Party is run by their shittiest people. Like, all the people that in 2015 would never have risen to power, it's all the shittiest ones. For everything we can say about Mitch McConnell, for Lindsey Graham, for the people that ran out, like John Boehner, like, those people were significantly better people than Jim Jordan, than Matt Gaetz, than Marjorie Taylor Greene. He has brought the worst of the worst to the top of the Republican Party. He's completely destroyed the GOP.
So I'm just glad that you could recognize what I actually meant by, in 2016, supporting him, just because I was like, oh, he's different. You know, I want to see where this goes.
Right.
And obviously now, at this point, the fact that he does get any support is absurd to me as well. But back then, before all of this stuff happened, it was interesting. I was interested. That's why I was a Trump supporter. Now I am not, obviously, but I don't think I'll lie about that in the future. Although I think you're probably right. I'll probably want to.
You might not bring it up.
Yeah, I might not bring it up, but I'm glad that you could see that, like, the point there, like, for the just brief, like, entertainment and, like, oh, will this bring change to the political parties, like both of them?
Yeah.
Because he's not on either side. However, it just ended up being an experiment that really showed the true nature of too many people wanting their selfish beliefs to be true over anything else. And that is actually scary. And if he does get into the election again, that says a lot about our whole country.
I agree.
So,
all right.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page. I appreciate it, bro. That was a good conversation.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
All right, bro.
See ya.
Be well. Bye. How about everybody in the Discord lays off my high school for what the fuck, Zach? You got pay attention to the live, fucking Zach. Let's go. I think Michael. Oh shit! I didn't want to do that. Sorry, done right. I'm gonna drop you back down. I didn't mean to click on you. I was trying to click on Michael. What's up, Michael?
Hey, what's going on, RTP? How you doing?
Just hanging out.
Yeah. So from what I see, my opinion is that, and the reason I think that Trump gains a lot of votes is, I think that people, including myself, feel a direct impact when he was in office and when he's not in office. And I don't think anyone could argue that he's not the most moral guy. But it appears to me...
I would say if you're arguing that he has morals at all, you're out of your fucking mind.
No, that's what I said.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
It's not that he's
like,
not the
no
most
one's
moral. He's
arguing
he's probably the least moral person ever to hold office.
Yeah, so no one's arguing that. But it appears to me that there's so much that comes up in terms of his morals and why people won't vote for him. But on the flip side of that, I think the reason that he does gain traction, and I'll use my own experience, when he was in office, my 401k grew by 40%. Mm-hmm. Now, you know, people argue that that's due to the last administration, whatever. But then, now, I think the reason that he's gaining traction is because he is hitting the current administration, blame whoever you want, is hitting people in the pocketbooks with inflation. And I think I think it's completely mobilizing and expanding his base because of the inflation, which is having a direct effect. We could all argue that I want this guy in, I want that in, but my experience has been in the past, it's been like, who cares who's in? Doesn't really affect me. My taxes go up, they go down, who cares? But then there were direct effects, and I'd love to hear your opinion on the moral thing and also on the direct impact that people are feeling.
Yeah. So first on the morals, I don't think there's anybody who would argue that we've ever had anybody in office who is more openly immoral than Donald Trump. You'd have a hard argument. I think he seems. I don't know what morals you could point to that he has. I would be shocked if somebody could convince me that he has morals at all. So that's one thing, and I do think that that's important because the thing about the president is the president isn't a policymaker. The president doesn't write the policy. They have an effect on the policy. They're not writing bills. For the most part, they're not getting things passed. Their job is to lead the military. Their job is to represent the country, and their job is to be a leader. There's no evidence. There's never been any evidence that Donald Trump is a good leader. He's a horrific leader. Most of the country didn't like him. The more he spoke, the less people liked him. He's not a good leader. He's not even a good leader for the Republican Party. He demands complete loyalty. He never admits that he's wrong. There's no definition of a good leader that would fit Donald Trump. So that part aside, the thing that I would probably object to the most is that you keep saying what he did had a direct impact. It didn't. When you're talking about your 401k, if you're going to tell me he had a direct impact on that, you're going to have to show me how. If you're going to tell me, if we're going to say he had a direct impact on gas prices, you're going to have to show me how. If you're going to show me he had a direct impact on anything, specifically when it comes to your pocketbook, you're going to have to show me how. I think that you're right, though. You are identifying why he's getting traction in certain areas, because when the economy is not great, usually the president takes the blame. That's just how it works. If you preside over an economy that is struggling, it's likely that you will lose. The fact, though, that Joe Biden still is level with Donald Trump, or in some cases ahead, some cases just behind, should go to show you how bad Donald Trump is. Because any normal election cycle with a normal candidate, Biden would be in serious trouble.
Okay, so on the first part that you said, I think one of the some of the things that comes out of his mouth, obviously, it is not laced with morals, right? But I personally think that every politician lies. I would love to see term limits go in so that they're not just power hungry. They come in.
Can I stop you there? Can I stop you there? Because
go ahead.
It gets old. Every single human being on earth lies. Name one person outside of Donald Trump in your life or in politics that would stand up in front of TV cameras and hundreds of thousands of people and say, when I started speaking, the rain stopped, the clouds opened, and there was sun. And that never fucking happened.
Agree. I agree.
This idea that politicians lie is just it's a way for people to justify supporting a man who will literally lie about anything and everything. This man is incapable of telling the truth if he believes that truth will either make him look silly, or if he has lied about it before, or if it is bad for him or bad for his campaign. This man is incapable of telling the truth when he needs to. There has never been a politician like him in either party, in the House, in the Senate, I guess nationally. I'm sure we could find some locally, but across the national stage for years, Richard Nixon was like the peak. It's like this was the worst. He was the worst of the worst, and Donald Trump is light years ahead of him in terms of having no morals.
Okay, I agree with you that everybody lies. Period. I think that one of the mistakes that the Democrats do sometimes, some Democrats, is they unequivocally relate Donald Trump to the Republican Party. Now, most people who are Republican are probably going to vote for Donald Trump. But the thing is unlike lots of other politicians, he will call a Republican out, maybe not as much as a Democrat, but he has railed against Republicans.
For what?
He has...
Hold on. For what?
Yeah.
For what? This is the point. He rails against Republicans when they say things bad about him, and that's it. He didn't say a goddamn thing about Roy Moore. Not one fucking
I don't know who
thing.
that is.
Of course not. It's a guy he endorsed that was credibly accused of assaulting multiple children. Multiple. He doesn't say shit about Steve. When Steve Bannon stole money from his own supporters, from Donald Trump's supporters, Donald Trump pardoned him. Donald Trump has been critical of only people in the Republican Party who were critical of him. It's not that he has a spine, it's that he's a giant pussy and can't take criticism. He only calls out people who don't do exactly what he says. He is a coward. This is not a man who isn't afraid to call out anybody. He only calls out people who criticize him. Mitt Romney was dead right about Trump. Mitt Romney should be the person you guys put up for president, but you won't. And Mitt Romney is hated for being right about Donald Trump. You guys all still hate him. You don't even know that he was dead right.
I disagree.
Do you want me to read it? Do you want me to read it?
No, I don't want to go down that whole...
Well, I'd like to go down that road.
No,
why do you not like Mitt Romney?
Look, I don't... Mitt Romney is so in my rearview mirror that I don't even know.
No, I'm asking why you don't like him.
I don't even remember.
Exactly.
I don't even remember.
Exactly. That's the point.
No,
you can't.
No.
He's a rhino, right?
No. The reason I didn't like Mitt Romney and I didn't vote for him is because of reasons that I had back then. And pardon me for not remembering why I didn't like him. I just didn't like him. I didn't like what he stood for. But let me
go back to... What did he stand for?
I can't remember.
Trump ran on Romney's platform. I worked on the Romney campaign. Trump literally ran on Romney's platform. There was virtually no difference between what they ran on.
You might know my brother. He was a Romney fan and actually met him up in New Hampshire when he was up there campaigning. But anyway, I want to get back to what you were talking about.
I'm not there yet because I want to make this point.
Go ahead.
Would you agree that he's one of the most hated Republicans by other Republicans?
Who?
Romney.
Wow, I can't comment. I don't know anything about that.
Probably, though. Like Liz Cheney, Mitt Romney, Jeff Flake was in the crosshairs for a while, Mitch McConnell. The one thing, all the people that Donald Trump has called out, they have one thing in common. They didn't just do what he told them to do.
Well, I think from my perspective, I look at it and say, hey, you didn't do what I said. You disagreed with what I'm trying to accomplish. So, I mean, I don't have a big issue.
But that's not what happened. So let's talk about Mitt Romney specifically then. So Mitt Romney, the reason that he and Donald Trump had a falling out is in the primaries in 2015, Mitt Romney held a summit in Park City that he still does, and he gave a speech warning us about Donald Trump. He warned us about what a Trump presidency would look like. And he was right about every single point. And he's been hated ever since then. And when I say he was right about every single point, I don't mean he said here's some things about Donald Trump that were true and we can agree or disagree if those matter. I mean, he made predictions. He predicted the things that would happen under a Trump presidency, and he was right about every single point. And you guys still hate him. I'll give you the bullet points. He predicted that Donald Trump would start trade wars and tariff wars with China. Did that happen?
Yeah.
He predicted that jobs would stagnate. Did that happen? It did.
Pre-COVID, yeah.
Pre-COVID job growth stagnated. He predicted he would balloon the deficit. Did he balloon the deficit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He brought up his bankruptcies. He says that he will crush the middle class and small businesses. Did that happen? Middle class shrunk. right? He said that Trump wanted to let ISIS take out Assad and then we can pick up after. That happened. He admires Putin. He said he would continue to admire Putin and that he would cause problems with us, with our allies, all the allies that we had in NATO and Europe, because he would side with Putin, that would cause issues for us with our allies. Did that happen?
So let me ask you this.
I'm going to keep going because there's so many of these.
No, I believe you on this.
He said Trump lied about being opposed to the Iraq War. That was true. He said Trump lied about Muslims celebrating as the towers fell. That was true. That was true. He predicted how Trump would respond. He said Trump would respond to this by calling him a child.
I'll give you all that. I'll give you all that.
He said that he will never release his taxes. He said he will never release the New York Times tape that he promised to release. He said he would always be soft on white nationalists.
I'll give you all this. I'm going to all this. But
why Mitt Romney for telling the truth and being right?
No, I don't think people hate Mitt Romney, but let me get your opinion on this.
He was censured by the Republican Party.
No, I'm not saying people. I'm saying people hate or don't like Mitt Romney and voted for Trump. I want to get your opinion on this. Do you think that the people who back Trump are, because he's not the quote-unquote politician?
No, it's because he's a fucking fraud and a fascist and a horrific person. No, this idea that he's not a politician. He's more politician than anybody in Washington. He is more politician. He is everything we hate about politicians without any of the good stuff. He is the grossest of the gross of politicians. He plays every game. He'll lie to your face. He'll lie about other people. He consolidates power. He only puts people around him that are yes men. He attacks every single person who ever says anything bad about him. He is a politician. He always has been a politician. He was a politician in 2015 when he ran for office, and he ran like a scumbag politician. The fact that he hadn't held office before doesn't mean he's not a politician.
I think that I just, my opinion only, I don't think people share that view.
Yeah, because people are stupid.
Okay, well, yeah, you could say that. Absolutely.
I mean, what's a politician? That's a person that's involved in politics, right?
Well, to me personally, a politician should be someone who is doing right by the people.
And he doesn't do any of that.
Right, and what I'm seeing now...
But that's not what a politician is.
No, well, I mean,
a politician is somebody that's involved in politics, right?
Well, they're supposed to represent the people, right?
Okay.
So my point is that what I'm seeing and have seen for the last, call it 10 years, 15 years, is that it's all about power. And you could say that for Trump, and you could say that for both sides.
No, you can't. No, you absolutely cannot say that about both sides. You can only say that about Donald Trump if you are comparing one side, and the Republicans and the Democrats have played dirty games. One person tried to overturn the fucking election. That has happened exactly one time in the history of this country. Only once, and it was Donald Trump. Dude, well, this is the thing. Like, you want to come off as like this middle ground guy, but all you're doing is justifying a horrific human being. My question is to you: why can't you support somebody that isn't a scumbag? Why can't you go support somebody like Chris Christie or Nikki Haley? Why not support them? They have more appeal to they hold the same values as Donald Trump. They're running on the same platform, and they have more appeal to the country. And they might be able to work across party lines to get something done. Why are you guys so dead set on Donald Trump?
It gets back to what I said at the top of this chat, is that when it affected me personally, and I could feel that effect.
No.
Then
nope. Because those aren't direct effects. You keep saying those are direct effects. They're not.
Hold on.
They're not. You are willfully. No, this is you being willfully ignorant. I understand if we want to say that generally people think that, and that generally that's why he's gaining momentum. But it's stupid, Michael. So don't be stupid. Be smart. Be educated.
Come on.
Understand. Understand,
Let's
Michael.
not-
No, Michael, understand. No, Michael, understand that those gains in your 401k didn't have a goddamn thing to do with Donald Trump. Understand that the employment numbers didn't have a goddamn thing to do with him. You're giving him credit for something he doesn't deserve credit for so that you can justify voting for a piece of shit person. He didn't do that for you, Michael. He didn't cause the gains in your 401k. No president causes the gains in your 401k. That's not how any of this works.
Dude, I thought we were going to have a productive conversation.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you thought that we were going to have a productive conversation where you could say things that weren't true. Yes, I am talking at you, Michael, because what you said is this is why he's getting support, and I agreed with you. I agreed with you that the reason that some people are supporting him is because they saw their 401ks and they're like, oh, I want to go back to that. Where we disagree is that makes any goddamn sense, because it doesn't. He didn't do that. So you can be a person who just votes with their feelings, or you can be a person who votes based on things that actually happened. And I'm just telling you that you're voting on your feelings and you're wrong.
No, okay, so let me ask you this question. So you say, how did it directly affect me? The way I see it is this administration is they don't like big oil at all. Okay, and
they're drilling more we're drilling more now than ever. So explain that.
So you would say that this administration is pro-oil?
No, I said explain that. I didn't say ask me another fucking question. If we're drilling more now than ever, then explain that.
We're drilling more now than ever.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is what I've talked about Republicans the whole time. Like, dude, have you ever looked up anything?
Not even going to go there.
No, I'm wondering. Have you ever looked up our oil production? Where are you coming up with? Stop! No, don't get offended right now because you don't know things.
That's not a proper question.
Have you looked this up?
You know it.
Have you looked this up? Do you know how much we're drilling now versus during the Trump administration?
Why don't you tell me?
No, I'm asking you a question, and this is a problem that all of you conservatives have. You can't ever admit that you just don't know something. Just say you don't know.
When you make generalizations...
Have you looked it up? Have you looked it up?
No.
Okay, so do you know?
I know the price of a barrel of oil.
No. We're talking about drilling, my friend. Do you know?
That doesn't affect as much as the price of a barrel.
Do you know? Why is this so hard for you to just admit that you don't know something? This is crazy, dude. Be a man.
Because
you're a grown-up. Admit when you don't know something.
Just because you ask a question I don't know the answer to.
There we go. So no, you don't know the answer.
Proved your point.
I didn't say I proved my point. My point was, Michael, that you have strong opinions about things and you don't do any research. So why should I care what you think if you don't do research?
Why would you say I don't do any research? You make a lot of generalizations.
Because I said we're drilling more now, and you said, "Are you serious?" And I said, "Have you looked it up?" And then you spent 2 minutes trying to avoid saying no.
So
have you looked it up?
I don't know the answer to one question.
So why should? Oh my God! So why do you have an opinion? I am interrupting you.
Me.
Okay, I will, Michael. I'll keep doing that. Thank you.
Because
why should your opinion matter if you haven't checked?
Because I don't know the answer to one question, I don't do any research.
That's not what I said. You're
That's
an absolute
what you said.
No, grow up. Okay, you're a grown man. Grow up. Act like an adult here. I'm saying, why should I care about your opinion on this specific issue if you don't know any of the data?
There are many things that.
Oh my Christ, Michael! What the fuck? Why should I care about your opinion on this specific issue if you don't know the data?
If you let me answer, I'll tell you.
If you answer, this is a simple answer. The answer is I shouldn't. Michael, you should not care about people's opinions if they don't have data to back up their opinions.
RTP.
Right?
I'm trying to answer your question, but you won't let me answer.
Yeah, because I don't care about you monologuing. This is such an easy question.
I'm not monologuing.
Okay, I'll ask one more time. Michael,
why
should I care about your opinion if you don't know the data?
because you should care about it, because the price of gas at the pump is not only reliant on drilling.
We were talking about drilling, dude. This is crazy, dude. Why?
I already told you I don't know.
Okay, then just say, then I shouldn't care about your opinion on drilling, right? Because what you said is, you said that this administration doesn't care about big oil. By the way, that would be terrific. My main criticism of the Biden administration is they care too much about big oil. I don't like how much they help big oil. Not a fan. They're very friendly to big oil.
I don't know where you get that from, but...
Well, where do you get the idea that they're not friendly?
Because they are forcing electric everything upon us. They had the Keystone Pipeline is
What was the Keystone
shut
Pipeline?
down.
What was the Keystone Pipeline?
Bringing in oil from Canada and shipping
To
it
where?
down to Mexico.
Okay, and what kind of oil was that?
Crude oil.
No. Try.
What?
Tar sand.
What?
Tar sand oil.
Tar sand oil.
It wasn't oil. Yeah, it's not oil that we use for our cars, my friend. It wasn't our oil. It was never going to affect our oil prices.
Okay.
See what I mean, Michael?
No, I don't. Because
You don't.
I'll
Of course
tell you
don't.
this.
Why don't you know that? Look how many people in this chat know that. Why don't you know that?
Well, obviously, they're all people that have shared your opinions, so you just
These aren't
keep preaching
opinions.
to
This
the
is
choir.
a fact. No, this isn't an opinion. This is a fact of what was being delivered through the Keystone Pipeline. It's not an opinion.
Where do we get most of our oil? Who's our number one supplier?
No. Michael,
Who's our number one supplier?
Michael, why are you just moving on to a new subject now?
See, here's the thing.
No, Michael, I'm asking, why did you just leave that? I asked you. You said that the Keystone Pipeline was a reason why our gas prices went up. And
I said
that
it
has
was a
nothing to do with
contributing
gas prices, so
factor.
you were wrong about that too.
No, that's not true.
What's not true? Which part's not true?
Answer my question. I told you I
which
didn't,
part's not true, Michael?
that it doesn't have any effect on our gas prices.
It's not oil that we use for gas, so how would it have an effect on our gas prices?
What?
If it's not oil that we use for gas, then why would it have an effect on our gas prices?
Okay, so you won't answer the question where.
Oh my!
does
No,
most
you're
of our oil come
just
from?
running, dude. Here's how this works, Michael. And I know that you're used to being around people who don't question you. But when you don't know the answer,
oh my
when you
gosh.
don't know the answer to a question, what you could say is, "I don't know."
I did.
No, you didn't. You started asking me another question.
I told you I don't
Okay,
know
so can you please
about
explain
drilling.
how? Okay, so can you please explain how the Keystone Pipeline, canceling the Keystone Pipeline, increased our oil prices?
Simple supply and demand.
Except for but it's not for gas. So it's not. It's like if I was like, "Hey, Michael, why did onion prices go up?" And you're like, "Yeah, because we stopped growing carrots."
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's
they
move
don't.
on.
They don't. No, not. Let's move on, Michael. Let's not move on. You're a grown man, and somehow you've gotten through your life without being able to. It's no wonder you're a Trump person, because you are unable to just say things like, "I don't know." You really don't like being
Even
wrong. It
though I
bothers
said I
you,
don't
and
know?
when you're wrong, like you were on Romney, and now you're wrong on this, you get really uncomfortable, and you're like, "I want to move on."
Even though I said I don't know.
You didn't say I don't know.
I told you I said I don't know about
Okay.
drilling.
So we agree then that the Keystone Pipeline was not a cause for our oil prices going up.
Well, I have a different opinion, but whatever.
Okay, great. So let's go back to that. So how did canceling the Keystone Pipeline cause our oil prices to go up?
We can go around and around on this, but
No, we're not going around and around. I keep hitting you over the head with the same question, and you're dodging it. We're not going around. You don't know what you're talking about, Michael, and you're too prideful to admit that.
That's not true.
It is true, because do you know what tar sand oil is used for?
No.
Okay.
See, I did it again.
Okay. Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so it's a mixture. I can read you exactly what it is. It's a mixture of mostly sand, clay, water, and thick molasses-like substance called bitumen. In our country, we do not use tar sand oil. It's too pollutant. You can use it for things like making plastics. There's lots of uses for tar sand oil, but in our country, we don't use tar sand oil to fuel our vehicles. So tar sand oil has nothing to do with the gas prices in our country.
Okay, good. I'll give you that.
Cool, great. So Keystone Pipeline, the thing that your Republican politicians love to beat Joe Biden over the head with about gas prices, they're all wrong about that. Why do you think they're lying to you?
I am
Why do you think
shocked.
they're lying to you?
I don't know. I'm kind of.
You don't know why they're lying to you?
I'm still kind of in shock that you think this administration is pro.
I'm sure you are, but I'm
big
asking
oil.
you a question. Why do you think they're lying to you?
About what?
About the Keystone Pipeline causing our oil prices to rise.
I'm not taking that from anyone.
No, I'm asking you why they're lying to you about that.
You have to ask them.
Okay, I'm asking. So you just don't know why they're lying.
I don't know. I don't know.
But
that
you're
they're
okay with
lying.
them lying.
I'm just stuck on like why you think this administration. We had to dip into emergency reserves. Why do you think this administration is pro oil?
Well, we had a big shutdown, right? So we had a bunch of during COVID. Basically, production shut down. People stopped traveling. The supply was really high. The demand was really low, and gas prices dropped. Right? What other factors
Supply
were there?
and demand.
What other factors were there?
It's how much, which leads into supply and demand. It's how much the other countries that supply us with oil are, how much they want to produce.
Yeah, and they produce it based on what? Projected demand.
Okay.
Right? Okay, so when demand drastically drops, and you have a lot of these people have reserves, and a lot of oil refineries, like a lot of places, didn't stop drilling immediately because we were unaware of how long this would go on. We had a high supply and a low demand, right?
Okay.
Okay. So but then, as these oil companies saw that, a lot of them stopped drilling because they recognized that they were going to. We had a higher supply than the demand, and that makes gas prices low. And oil companies want to make the most amount of money possible. So why keep drilling at these if the demand is low, right? In the chat, mods, can you run a poll for me? Which person was trying to date me more, Michael or the Republican gal? Just can we throw that up on the poll there? I want to know. Miss Julie, let me bump you back to like 12:45. I want to finish on a high note there. So if that's all right with you, who have I not talked to that's on this list? Actually, let me say this real quick. If you're in the box and you're not opposition, could you drop down for a second? Michael just quit. Michael did not like that. I appreciate it, Michael. You were a good sport. You can come back another time. Carebear, I don't know. See, I would have said Carebear till the end of that, but then Michael was like, he was kind of aggressive there. He like put me in the corner, shush me. I was aggressive. Got very aggressive at the end there. All right, Timothy. Hey, Timothy.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
First, I want to congratulate you, man. You've been doing a wonderful job. I've
Thank
been listening to you live for the past couple of days. I watched you yesterday all day until you got off. But there's one thing I wanted to emphasize on in regards to the fuel price.
Okay.
I noticed and I heard everyone talking about the fuel price with Donald Trump, how low it was. But let me remind everyone, I'm a truck driver. And when it comes into fuel, I can pretty much tell you from A to Z. And what I want everyone to understand that when President Obama, as a matter of fact, let's take it to President Bush. As a matter of fact, let's take it a little further than that. Before President Bush came into office, fuel price was $1 to 90 cents a gallon. Okay? After the invasion of Iraq and everything, fuel price skyrocketed. I'm talking about like diesel, because I mostly purchase a lot of diesel.
Sure.
Okay? diesel price skyrocketed all the way up to $5 and more per gallon. Okay, and as you can remember, when President Obama took office, the country was in disarray. I mean, was in a very bad position.
Sure.
And when President Obama got in office, I mean, basically, we was at down-to-earth garbage. And he got in office, and he rolled up his sleeves. He went to work, and he brought us back from the brink of collapse. After President Obama took office, within the first 4 years up to when he left office, fuel price came down to $2.40 per gallon. That was diesel. You can do your research and fact check me. $2.40 to $2.50 per gallon. So the fuel price where it was when President Trump took office has nothing to do with him, because the fuel price was already stable when President Obama left office. Okay,
right.
So for him to be given the credit to President Trump, it's disingenuous. It's just, I do not understand what going through these people's mind. What are they thinking? But they're in a different world that, I mean, we're not in, because they cannot accept the truth. And it seems like they're just empty. When it comes into facts, the truth, they will not accept it. As far as I'm concerned, they need medication for acknowledgement and for the truth. They need medication for that, because they're not going to accept it. And that's where all that's concerned. One more thing I would like to emphasize on. I also heard people talking about the border being open. Right now, I'm down here in McAllen.
Just be real quick on that one. Everybody's going to yell at me because I'm supposed to have opposition only, and I'm being nice because I thought you were just going to correct some of the oil stuff, because it's not necessarily. Right, so yeah.
So all year round, I does produce from the border right back to the northeast, and the border is one of.
Miss Kitty Whispers is gone.
Oh no.
She's gone.
What do you mean she's gone?
Jay, she's gone. I've been looking for her everywhere. Just everywhere. So I was calling her and singing her sweet little songs and using her name real cute, and she wouldn't come out. And I tried poking around with my cane. I even was checking in the air vents and everything. And my cane got stuck and I fell over.
Oh,
and
no.
you know what, Jay? You can keep a good woman down. You can. I was down for a long time until Loranda next door heard me and came over. And she'd kill me if she knew I used her real name. She would really kill me in real life.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So Loranda finally came over, got me up off the floor. But she had to go to work, so kept looking for Miss Kitty, and I tried to get her a little treat. So I found some milk, but it was spoiled. So then I found a can of milk in the cupboard. But without my glasses, I couldn't tell if it was pet milk or sweetened condensed milk. Now, pet milk will give her the poops because it's got lactose in it. Did you know cats are lactose intolerant?
I was unaware of this. I did not know that.
The Googler, Jay, the Googler. I hear you telling the Republicans he's the Googler.
Did you see how quickly I admitted that I didn't know? That's how you do it, Republicans.
Absolutely, I'm impressed. That's what makes you an attractive man, Jay.
Thank you.
That and your manly beard and your piercing blue eyes.
Thank you, Miss Julie.
It was either the pet milk or it was sweetened condensed milk. I couldn't tell which. And that's the one with all the sugar. So it would have been shits and farts. And I'm just not up for cleaning that kind of mess. So I pulled out the piece of salmon I'd been saving so I could cook up a tasty treat for Miss Kitty. I knew if she could just smell that succulent fish flesh, she'd come right out. So unfortunately, the fan on the air fryer blew out. So, oh Jay, I was forced to break out grilled cheeses. He was glued back together in a few places after Miss Kitty Whispers had knocked him off the refrigerator. But by the grace of God, crazy glue, some duct tape, and a fire extinguisher, we were able to render the somewhat semblance of grilled Jesus onto that salmon fillet. He looked a little misshapen, but he smelled succulent, so I put it out. Miss Kitty never came. So I guess I fell asleep for a while because I woke up and thought the Gorton fisherman broke in and died in my furnace element that stunk to high hell in here. So I just haven't been able to find her. I wish I could have called Miss Linda. Miss Linda always knew what to do.
Well, maybe we could add some minutes to Miss Linda's commissary, and you guys could have a conversation.
Jay, life was easier on the inside. It was easier on the inside. I'm not cut out for a life of freedom and personal responsibility. I couldn't even care for Miss Kitty Whispers.
I'm sorry.
I called Sheila, that bitch. She's on her way over. She was coming over, and I waited and waited. And she came in, and she hunted and looked and hunted and looked and got real quiet for a long time. I was so nervous, but I don't know how long she was looking because I ate about 4 gummies because I was nervous. So I was just so lit and loaded and
That's a lot, Miss Julie. 4 gummies is a lot.
It was not my best choice. I think that's why I'm so emotional.
I hear you.
So then I heard Cousin Sheila say, "Oh, I got her." So she came out. She wouldn't let me see Miss Kitty. She said she found Miss Kitty asleep in her little pet carrier and that she was going to take her to the spa to relax for a week. So my precious Miss Kitty Whispers is gone. I reckon I'll see her next week, but Miss Linda said she was Miss Linda. Oh, she's all I can think about. No, that bitch Sheila. I'm so sorry, Jay.
That's okay.
High.
I hear you.
I'm high. So, Cousin Sheila's got her. Said she'll keep her for a week, try and fatten her up at the spa.
Yeah.
Get her some little hair treatments and get her little nails done.
Maybe not. Maybe don't spend the money on the hair treatments. Maybe just let her know, just from me to her, maybe the hair treatment's not necessary.
Well, I told that bitch to do what she thought was right. Not that she ever has a day in her life, but
yeah.
So,
well, I hope. Last we saw Miss Kitty Whispers, she was looking a little skinny, so I hope they can get her some sustenance.
Just so frail and thin, and
I don't even want to say skin and bones. It was almost just bones at this point. But I'm glad she's getting some help.
How dare you slander Miss Kitty Whispers? Well, I've got to get going. I waited around for you long enough.
Thank you.
My sister's coming down from Pigeon to pick me up.
Good.
Oh, God, that really is the name of the city she lives in.
No more gummies, Miss Julie. No more gummies.
So she's taking me back up there. We're going to the new indoor water park.
Can you please let me know how that goes?
Indoor water park with the big slide. So I'm going to go on the big water slide with my sister.
Yeah.
So I'll check in tomorrow. But I'm not going to feel comfortable enough to relax and enjoy myself until I hear from that bitch. That bitch Sheila.
Okay, Miss Julie.
You always know who I mean. It doesn't matter what I call her. So I've got to go. I got to get my 2-piece and get on out of here. You take care, RTP.
Yes, ma'am.
I love you, honey.
I love
Bye.
you too. Bye. Bye, Miss Julie. The saga continues. What are we gonna do about Miss Kitty Whispers? To try and follow that, whoever's here. I don't even know. Who wants your mom? You got a funny name. You're next. Your mom, LOL, you're here.
Hi, I really didn't expect to get picked, but
Well, here we are.
I want to know what you think about us drilling for oil, because it kind of sounded like you were like speaking negatively of it.
What do you mean?
I don't know. You were just kind of. I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared.
I guess what I was speaking negatively is I don't like the amount of subsidies and the amount of corporate welfare that we give to oil companies. They're making record profits. Their margins are great, and we continuously give them subsidies all the time. I do have a hard time with the fact that this country, like we all live in this country. This is our country. I don't understand why people are allowed to become billionaires off of the natural resources of our country, while we have people all over this country who don't have health care, who don't have places to live, can't afford to feed themselves, can't afford the basic necessities. Meanwhile, it's important that for some reason we give these people access to our nation's resources so they can become billionaires. It's not necessarily just the oil. I'd love to see us move into more green energy, but it's also the fact that we give these people subsidies, we give them tax breaks, we allow them to become billionaires and millionaires off of our country's natural resources. That's where I have a real problem with it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Well, say hi to your mom for me.
Okay.
Unless you had something else.
No, that's all.
Okay. See you later. All right. Again, who we got? We got LaQuisha and Pam.